Hello and welcome everybody to some more GPVWC action here. We're at the Indianapolis 500, round 3 of the Master Series for GPVWC, after of course Daytona and the 24-hour race. So this should be an absolute cracker right now. I've already seen plenty of big crashes in our practice here at the track. It should be an absolute blast. I'm certainly looking forward to this. And I'll tell you what, if there isn't at least one big accident here, I will be bitterly disappointed. And alongside me here in the commentary box is Matthew Chuggy Williams. Say hello.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to one and all, wherever you may be.
Indeed, and on the cameras is our magical cameraman, Cameron Brewster.
Hello, everybody.
We absolutely blast this one. And yeah, we're here in Indianapolis, of course, in Indiana, in the USA, for this IndyCar race. 40 cars in this field. 40 cars should be a lot of cars in a short space. So I'm expecting a few bits of contact, to say the least. So it should be a very good time, that's for sure. So Chuggy, wouldn't mind telling us a bit about the history here of Indianapolis?
Yeah, certainly. So, of course, Indianapolis is one of those classic staples of the American motorsports scene, and it's one of the oldest tracks out in the United States, if not the oldest. They've been racing there since 1909. Of course, lots of different variations of the track, starting out in a very crude oval. The track we're racing on today, it's a fairly standard oval. You've got 4 corners, banking ranging from 9 to 12 degrees, so quite flat given some of the ovals which are out in the States, but a 2.5 mile lap. We've got 200 laps around this circuit. It's going to be certainly a trial and a survival effort almost to make it to the end, because one mistake, the walls are right there. There's nowhere to catch that car, and it's all about really just trying to stay consistent as possible. So, as you say, with 40 cars, the qualifying incredibly close, as you can imagine. And in fact, I think we had about 50 or so, 55, I believe, qualifiers, and the gap between first and 55th was less than half a second. We've got our top 40 here today, and I think we're in for a cracker of a race. Hopefully we won't have too many dramas, but this being oval racing, one slight mistake could cause a big incident. So we hope that won't happen, but if it does, we'll have to batten down the hatches and pray that not too many cars are affected.
Very true there, very true. It's going to be interesting to see all this, how it pans out and how they do this. Yeah, a couple of people joking about going 3 wide there in the in-game chat. That'd be quite interesting if they actually manage that. I don't think they will, but good luck to them. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. As Chuggy said there, half a second between the whole field, pretty much, of qualifiers. Between the actual 40, there's about, I think it's about 3/10 between the whole field. 40 cars within 3/10. Just ridiculous stuff when you think about it. So that's going to really prove to make it extremely close racing. And of course, with slipstreaming and everything else as well, it's going to be even closer. So, to be honest, even down in 40, I think it's Jason Muscat down there in 40th, even he could have a shot of winning this. All and that has to happen is he has to be in the right place at the right time. He could just suddenly drive up at the front with a big accident. So, anybody could win this one. There's no for sure winner, I don't think, here, especially in terms of pace. I mean, there was a lot of improvement there in the end. I noticed at the end, I think there was a couple dipped into the 39.7s at the end, so that was good to see. But yeah, very exciting stuff, that's for sure. Obviously, we don't have a staple oval series. Sorry, someone spins at a pit lane, but in the warm up here. But we don't have a staple oval series, obviously, of championship in GPWC. So we only have the off events here. Daytona, of course, was round 1 of the Masters, and then the 24-hour, and now at round 3 here in the IndyCars. And one thing I was thinking actually before the broadcast here, I was thinking about it before, is obviously in the Masters a lot of variety, because we've had the NASCARs for Daytona, we've had the Porsches for the 24-hour, and now we've had the IndyCars for this, and then you've got the 12-hour at the Northside. That's going to be different cars again, and then the Bathurst 1000 to finish, which may be different cars as well. So just so much variation in the Masters Series. I think it's quite impressive to see, Chuggy.
Absolutely. I mean, the beauty of the Masters Series, it is who is the best driver across multiple formula. The thing to bear in mind, especially around here at Indy, is the car is absolutely identical for every single driver. It's a fixed setup. All you can really change are things like your steering lock and your brake alignment, as far as if you've got your brake bias forward or backwards. So really, there's nothing at all that drivers can change. The car is going to be very close, and it will be a test across this whole year of driver ability in all sorts of style of car. As you say, we've had NASCAR already at the Daytona 500, and we've had Porsches for 24 hours around Le Mans, and 2 very different styles of race, and but featuring heavily, we have to say, at both of our winners from Daytona and Le Mans. They're right up at the front. In fact, we have Matt Richards, who won at Daytona. He's starting P2 today. And we have Mike Bell, along with the other drivers in the Smile Power car at Le Mans. Mike, he's starting on pole, in fact. So even though we've had some very different types of racing, we're seeing a couple of front runners appearing at this fairly early stage of the Masters Series. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to convert some good starting positions here into some wins. But of course, the thing to bear in mind with these oval-style races is you have things like the lucky dog, and you have things like slipstreaming. So anyone really could come through and win this. And in fact, there was an Indy 500 race a few years ago where I believe it was Takuma Sato and I've forgotten the other driver's name, but it was the last lap of the race, and Takuma Sato, he put the car at the inside on turn 1 and he spun out and lost it and gave the win away. Of course, then you have a caution flag situation. We'll talk about obviously the rules that we'll have for the event here in a moment, but caution flag came out. Everyone goes down to a safe, sensible pace, no overtaking and such. And the race was won there and then. So we've got to keep an eye out for, I won't say rash moves, but you've got to make sure that your move is well considered, well timed. Otherwise, you will be ending up in a wall.
Indeed, that is so true, and especially in these kind of races with the IndyCars as well. Obviously, not as durable as the NASCARs because they're open wheelers. So even a slight tap, and suddenly the car goes in the air, and you could just go flying into the wall, and that could be it. So split-second decisions, second mistake, and that could be it for you. After even 190 laps in, you've been going at it for 2.5 hours, that little mistake, boom, that's it, end of race. It can be that simple here in this. Speak of the rules, we should maybe mention them now. So obviously being oval racing, we have obviously cautions are going to be called. In this one, obviously GPVWC, we don't generally have cautions, but in this one that is the case. So the race director has the right to, or the authority to, when he feels a safety car and a caution should be called, he will call it. And then he'll take the safety car out and everyone forms up behind that. Of course, the pits close as soon as the safety car comes out, except for people who are, of course, majorly damaged. And that's, of course, to stop people at the back getting really ridiculous advantages. And then when everyone is lined up behind the safety car, it'll open again and will eventually go green after the race director feels it is good to go again. As well, of course, with lap cars, usually they have to get out of the way. Here, of course, in oval racing, they have every right to fight for their position in their laps. So if you catch a lap car, he has the right to fight. He doesn't have to get out of the way. So you have to keep an eye out for that in this race, because that could cause some interesting situations and people benefiting, people losing time. It'll be interesting to watch. So yeah, there's some of the rules, and yeah.
Yeah,
so any more, Toby?
And certainly, I mean, so the big point to make is about the lap cars, because the current, or if you will, the back marker who is closest to the leading lap will get the opportunity to become the lucky dog and basically get a lap back, circulate and rejoin back at the back of the field. So those back markers, they will be fighting tooth and nail to try and be that first back marker so they can get by. But as you say, you might have a situation where you've got a couple of leaders having a great scrap. Typically, if you're coming up to back markers, you'd have that safe knowledge of, oh, hey, these guys get out of the way. Forget about that. They'll move aside. But not here. It's going to be a true race all the way, wherever you are, in the field, and it should be interesting to see just how things pan out, and if some drivers can adapt to that. Who knows? Just perhaps with our normal Open Series formula, you will have perhaps a little bit of, well, call it being used to having blue flags, but without them, it'd be interesting to see if some drivers are missing the blue flags or not.
Indeed, yeah. And as we said, yeah, it's the thing with the lap cars in this one. They have every right to fight, which is something new, of course. A lot of drivers won't be used to this. As I said before, there's no championship in the GPVWC at the moment that has just oval tracks, as in NASCAR, IndyCar, or anything like that. So lap traffic will usually be used to get out of the way. In this one, they don't have to. So it'll be interesting to see that changing. And of course, with how close pace it is, as we mentioned before, there's people who are usually at the back. I know Ken Hunter's one of them. I think he's up in about 28th or 29th on the grid, usually well down the back. He's up there a little bit further. And there's a couple of blokes that aren't usually as far up as they are, and they're really showing some good pace here in the Oval Series. So obviously they're a bit more specialised for the Oval Series. As warm-up, it looks like it's just finished. We've just timed out warm-up, so they should be going to track any minute now. And rules for the track is they'll head to track behind the safety car, do 2 laps behind the safety car, and then safety car peels in, and we will go green after 2 laps. for 200 laps of, well, hopefully not pure chaos, but controlled chaos at least. So,
isn't all racing controlled chaos to some degree? Yeah, we're just waiting for our drivers here just to complete their final warm-up laps as they're just getting used to the car. I mean, the strategy, I think, is also going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. We don't know how and when people will be pitting the tyres. It's a set pressure and whatnot in those tyres. They should be good for over 100 laps, in fact. So I don't think tyres will be the issue. It's all about fuel, and it'll be interesting to see how various drivers plan that out. I've already heard from one driver in particular that they think they're going to come on strong at the halfway point. So we'll have to see how things settle down. We're just waiting for one driver to join the grid, or two drivers, in fact. We're just having a quick roll call just to make sure everyone's here before we begin. And we will be underway, hopefully, very shortly.
indeed, actually, just you mentioned there with the fixed setups. That's one thing here as well with Indy, of course, is the setups. I mean, the Porsches at 24-hour were pretty limited in what you could do. But here it's even more so at Indy. There's really nothing that the driver could change about. The only thing is brake pressure or brake bias, really, and I think engine boost were pretty much the only two things, and then brake boost as well, were pretty much the only two things, or brake map, sorry, were the only two things that you could change. So most of the car is the same for pretty much everyone. So this is a real challenge for the driver, and this will really show who the real drivers are out there, because they won't have a really amazing setup to back them. So this is, as I said before, where the back guys can really come and shine here as they show their driving talents.
Exactly, and in fact, actually, that's a very good point. There is actually a boost pressure setting that the drivers can change while they're driving, which will regulate the amount of fuel going to the engine. Kicked from the race, so that's going to make it interesting to try and spectate.
Oh dear.
Right.
Well, hopefully we didn't get Dave to
So our race directors are sort us out, but
yeah, that was a bit unexpected, but either way, it should be very interesting.
A little bit of fun and drama, but as we're just going to get this, of course, sorted out, we will. We can, of course, talk about what we hope to see in the race. I mean, we don't hope to see too many dramas as far as crashes and things go. But any drivers taking your fancy, Tom, for the potential win or doing well?
I would say personally, I reckon obviously Bell, Hamnet, even David Junt, those guys up there. I mean, as the back markers have a chance in this one, as I said, but just those guys in pretty much every other series in GPVWC have always been very consistent, very quick, and they are at the front for a reason here at Indy, even if it is by a couple of tenths. So I would say they're the ones to watch at the front, if they can stay clean, of course. And even just some of the guys in the midfield, as I said, Ken Hunter and a couple of the guys who aren't usually up there, they can really suddenly maybe bring a surprise here in this race with the even setups and just drama in general. So they're the ones I'd say to watch. What about you, Jake?
Well, I mean, so as you rightly say, you've got some traditionally very fast guys here at the GPVWC, and they are at the sharp end, of course, we'd expect them to be. But there are plenty of drivers actually in the midfield and further down to keep an eye on. We've got the likes of William Neron, been very good in previous races, and he's in the midfield. We've got the likes of Dewey Tapper, he's in the midfield. Boyd Bryson as well, very quick guy, he's in the midfield. So it's plenty to keep an eye on. So really, there's a really nice mix of drivers up and down the grid, and with the nature of things like cautions and all sorts of other bits and pieces, we really could have any driver from anywhere come through and potentially do incredibly well. So it's going to be all about keeping your nose clean. Certainly what I found actually when I was driving at the Daytona 500, unfortunately I was caught up in a fairly early incident, but I was able to keep it clean and consistent from there and finish all the way up in fifth from pretty much the back. So never know with these things. You just got to be at the right place at the right time. And with the likes of slipstreaming and in effect, the cars being so close, anything can really happen.
Indeed, very true. Is just joining back on the server now after that little issue. Yep, looks like we're good now. Having another warm-up, it looks like, as we try and fix this up. So have a little bit more time before we go, but that's alright. We'll be able to eventually get this underway. Looks like it should be sorted soon, but yeah, it's all going to be very interesting. A lot of guys around there. Ben Hurl's another one as well. Florin Engel as well. Guys that could really suddenly shine in this one. So should be very interesting to watch, and I'm really looking forward to this one, that's for sure. So we'll be just about to go ready, I'd say, about another minute or two, hopefully, if we do actually skip this warm-up and get straight into it, as everyone seems to be sorting out. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff indeed. And yeah, they're very pretty liveries, I will say, actually, for this race. It's good to see everyone putting a lot of effort for this one off race.
Absolutely, and that is indeed a really good thing to mention at this point, just as we're waiting for the race to begin. We've got some incredibly talented artists putting these cars and the car liveries together. and there are some truly beautiful cars out there on the grid, and hopefully we'll be seeing plenty of them on the broadcast today. And I mean, there's some very interesting designs from Simcraft, very smart. The THR style car looking very smart indeed. And then you've got the Smile Power team and their collective. They're all running very similar liveries, so it's good to see. A good bit of camaraderie there. So all sorts of lovely cars out there on the grid today, and I'm sure we'll be able to get them plenty of airtime today, given everyone's so close.
Yeah, that'll be the other thing as well, just where to look. That'll be what I'll be thinking about here when we get to the start. Obviously, look at the lead, but then there's everyone at the back, and just so many cars in such close proximity. It'll be just really quite something to watch. I'll be interested to see as well. I think I did see in the forum during the qualifying and the practice before this race happens, people mentioning that they thought the slipstream wasn't that effective, but we're interested to see if that's been changed maybe, or if that's not as maybe different in the race setting, but interesting to see how strong that'll be.
No, a very, very good point. I mean, so I'd hoped to be out there on the grid today. Unfortunately, didn't qualify, was not quick enough, was one of the ones who were not able to get that nice quick lap in. But the slipstream effect, it certainly was minimal in practice beforehand, but that has been upped ever so slightly for the race here. And we will hopefully have a lot of overtaking. I mean, it is one of those elements that you only get in these kind of oval-style racing. You've got cars very close together. NASCAR, of course, very famous for bump drafting. Now, I wouldn't expect to see too much bump drafting with Indy cars, given the fact you've got wings, and obviously if you lose a wing, you're in some real trouble. And, of course, just in general, actually, the Indy cars are a bit more, how to say, just a bit more solidly built. I don't know, and the Indy cars are a little more fragile, but it will be interesting to see how drivers try and pass one another. Everyone going very, very similar speeds, of course, given the setup, and we'll be good to go.
Indeed, yeah, and that's a good mentioning point there about their strength and durability is obviously not as strong as the NAS cars back at Daytona, so something that everyone will have to adjust to, obviously, here at the Indianapolis 500. And that was actually one thing, that was the other thing I was just going to mention on the forum just before the race. It wasn't long before. Dave the race director did mention that the bum drafting is not to happen in the race. It's just not going to happen. He did say on the forum not long before the race, probably an hour ago or something. So yeah, so it's not allowed to happen at all, it seems. So probably a smart call actually in the end, because in the end, you can do stuff like that. And I mean, you could, if you don't, if you're smart enough and do it well enough, you could get away with it. But the potential for it to go wrong is too high, I think, to really allow it to happen. It's better to be safe than sorry, especially we've already got enough risk as it is with so many cars on track. So we don't need any more, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and with it is just one of those characteristics, of course, with open wheel racing. In reality, in real life, and we see this now with the DW12 generation of IndyCar. If you go over a wheel in one of these open top cars, you will be in serious trouble. And of course, they've rectified that with the more modern IndyCar to have bodywork around the wheels to try and stop that as much as possible. So the cars will be close, but not perhaps as close as they would be for NASCAR. So we will hopefully have some good, clean, close racing. And of course, the other thing to bear in mind, these cars are going to be absolutely on the limit from the start. And if you get a car up your inside or up your outside, wheeling the car in so you can leave space, that's going to be an interesting effort in itself as well. So we're just waiting for a final few drivers to join back in here, and we'll hopefully have your race start in just a moment.
Indeed, hopefully, but yeah, there's a very good point with that as well. And also, yeah, there you go, there's Demetrius. It was pretty much point out exactly what I was about to say. With the oversteer is that I noticed when I was doing I was also going to try and qualify. I also wasn't quick enough, but I noticed when I was trying to drive around here as well, the rear, it may have just been the feeling of the car and its natural feel, but it did feel like the rear was a bit loose. It felt like it was just about to drift when you were going through a corner. So that'll be interesting to see during the race when they're going line astern, side by side, if maybe someone just gets that rear a bit too loose, gives someone a tap, and then off they go. So hopefully that won't happen, but that'll be something to watch out for, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, there was actually a few comments once the track and car were released and it was real, they would be a fixed setup. A few drivers going, oh, well, it's a bit oversteery, a little hard to catch the car if you do get into a bit of a slide. So, I mean, personally, I look at that and go, well, it's all part of the challenge of the car. Everyone's got the same machinery. You've got to be able to manage those potential situations. The great drivers are able to get that little extra bit out of a car, and that could be perhaps having a little oversteer moment mid-corner and being able to catch the car and control it. And who knows, if you're carrying enough speed through a corner, you will be able to actually not lose too much if you get them inside. So it's going to be potentially a thing which may be an issue. We'll have to see as the race carries on if the drivers are able to hang on to the cars as they go around some of these corners while they're slipstreaming one another. But we'll have to wait and see when they get that far again.
Yeah, very, very true indeed. And yeah, it's hopefully not too far. Warm-up's only got 2 minutes to go, so I'm assuming we'll just go to the end of that when the other driver gets here. I think we're only 1 or 2 down still. Looks like maybe 1 down.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting on the one driver right now. And when he joined into the server, he had a mismatch. So he's just probably resyncing some files, so he'll be able to join the server and not have any issues. And we just had it confirmed from our race director that yes, we'll be going in 2 minutes at the latest. So and it'd be a shame actually, because the driver waiting on is Sandeep Choda. He had a great qualifying effort. He would be starting in P15. So and he was on the inside more importantly as well, which is the place to be when you're racing around an oval. Of course, you're able to control that inside line. It will certainly give Mark Wicks, who's the car behind him on the inside, plenty of space to run into on the start. We'll have a rolling start here following a safety car lap. In fact, here comes Sandeep now, so I think we should be good to go in just a moment's time.
Indeed, been finally going here. The tensions have been building for the last, half an hour or so. It's been really keen to get this underway because it'll be an absolute blast to watch, that's for sure. Seeing all these guys trying to keep within millimetres of each other and try and keep it going around the track. Absolute limit.
Attention, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Good old R-Factor man.
Our favourite R-Factor man there chiming in, but I was just going to say it'll be interesting to see that, how close they are and how, that we were saying before about them acting more like a sprint race. We'll they'll have to remember, of course, it is still 200 laps, and that will be 2 hours, well, just over 2 hours at least, but that's without cautions. And of course, there's bound to be at least a caution throughout this race, so it could go up to 3 hours, this race, so it is a long race. So they've got to remember they've got all that time later. They don't need to throw the race away in the first 20 laps or so.
Absolutely, this is very much an endurance style event. You do not want to be making a silly move early on, which will take yourself and potentially others out the race. But what I will say is, just looking at this grid all lined up ready to have our parade laps here, what a lovely looking grid that is. All sorts of different colours of car. Of course, we've got all of our drivers here as they start off. Lovely to see. Full grid of cars there.
Indeed. So, hang on, I might just have to... We'll go through our grid here while we're waiting for everyone to go around the 2 laps they have to do. So, got my grid open here. So I will get underway. So on pole position for this race here, the Indianapolis 500, is Mike Bell, that number 17 car. P2 is Matt Richards in number 4, and you've got Paul Watkins is P3 and 23, good qualifying from him. And it's Tom Vandervoort who is 4th, he's number 7. That's David Junt, who's number 66, he's 5th. Harley Hamnet, number 24, he's 6th, and that's Fran Lopez, number 15, he's P7. And you've got Luke Walsh, number 44, he's P8, and that's Roy Schroden, number 6, he's P9, and then Team Toyko rounds at top 10, he's number 22.
Then we have, starting P11, we have Shane Burke. He is followed by James Johnson, starting in P12 in the number 12 car. Following them is Ben Willis and Ben O'Connor. P15 and P16 drivers. On P8 row will be Sandeep Choda and Sven de Vries. Then we have Mark Wicks and Yanni Vanden. They are starting P17 and 18. And on row 10 we have Maureen Garrier and Dimitris Tchouamanis, P19 and 20 respectively.
And P21 now going throughout the grid is number 11, Ivan Barrett. And then you've got P22, Lewis McGlade. 23 is Boyd Bryson, number 41. 24 is Pavel Loknovsky. And then you've got Dale Tapper there in 25. Sam Jones is 26. William Miron, 27th. Joshua Anderson going new. Good stuff there for Josh to be up in the midfield there in 28. Tim Straub is 29 and running at the top 30. Ken Hunter, as I said, one maybe watch out for in the race.
Starting P31 will be David Carter. P32, Simon Waterman. Martin Belgen will be in P33. He's followed by Mikkel Tumala, P34. Then we have Tommy Koivunen and Calvin Hermsen. They'll be starting P35 and P36. Then we have starting P37, Mark Reed and P38, Florian Engel. And to round out the field, we have Ben Horrell starting P39 and Jason Muscat starting P40.
Yeah, there's your field. I think this is about to go underway here, potentially, or is it next lap?
It will be...
Sorry, we're at the end of this lap, sorry. I thought we were on the main straight. Sorry, I was getting a bit too excited there myself. But yeah, look at that. As you said before, glorious colours there. It really is great to see so many different colours. You've got pink, you've got black, you've got red, you've got blue, green, everything. It really is fantastic to see. As we're just coming around turn 3 now, we're about to get ready to go green here. 200 laps of the Indianapolis circuit, the Indy 500 here. for the GPVWC. It should be an absolute cracker, and I'm expecting to see some big crashes here. We've already seen a couple in practice, as we were seeing. So it should be very interesting to see here as our race director Dave should be pulling into the pits here at the end of this one. So there he goes, should be back pulling in. There he goes, he pulls in. Mike Bell now is in control of the field. His call when to put the foot down. As here we go, we're about to go green here in Indy 500 for GPVWC. Oh, bunching up there behind, coming across the line, are about to. And we are into green. Mike puts the foot down. Look at that, he's got a beautiful start. He's already away. He's not even too wide. He's away. Way in the lead. They're ahead of Matt Richards. Vanderbilt just behind. You've got Fran Lopez behind him. They're all battling for third there. It's a big, big cluster, but Mike... Oh, we've got a crash already. Look at that. Already, we haven't even gotten into the race. It's already been a crash. Oh, yeah, it's down the back. Oh, you've got Mark Reed, Florian Engels involved. Martin Bolgan is involved.
And we're in
Sam
caution.
Jones.
We're in caution already. Safety car's
And
been
caution.
deployed. Oh,
And
that is...
already...
Oh,
David
goodness
Carter.
gracious. Big crash, turn 3.
Oh, huge look at that. Oh, my God. Fran Lopez is involved. He's up the front. Roy Schroden's involved.
We've
And
got car. Oh, my goodness.
Sandeep as well. Sandeep Trader's lost the wheel as well. They're at turn 3. Already we've got absolute damage. There hasn't been one lap. This is ridiculous. And yeah, and oh no, someone's just gone in the pit wall there. Someone just in front of the pits has gone off. Who's that? Not Roy Schroden, was it maybe? Just, wow, already.
Just
so one
drama.
lap, we're under caution.
We were speculating that there would be an incident, and perhaps with that many cars going through turn 1, it would be bound that there would be someone tagging eventually. But it sounds like there's one car, obviously, has caught all that caution. And moreover, I think it was a little, well, I don't know if we were meant to be racing all the way to the line as we were in Daytona, but a few drivers just letting off the gas into turn 3, and I think a few were not expecting that, and that just caused a huge secondary accident. And obviously, we've lost a number of cars. I'm sure they'll try and get themselves to the pit lane and get themselves repaired. I mean, there's got a long way to go, so you may as well. But yeah, an absolute drama of a start there. But the beneficiary is actually out of all this has been David Yunt. He started in P5. He's currently leading after all that. Mike Bell in P2. And in fact, one of our contenders, Matt Richard, he was involved in all of that. And let's see if he is still running around the track anywhere. But one of our potential protagonists is out of the top 10, that's for sure, at an early stage.
And actually, I'll actually mention this. Look at this man here in 12th place, Joshua Anderson, 28th. He's 12th.
That was a great start.
Big time from all this accident. What a great job, actually, to him to stay out of the carnage, because he would have been right in the centre over there at the back. So, beautiful job to him. And that is, wow, that's a lot of carnage. And let's have a look here. We've got 3 DNFs already here. That one, David Carter is out to the accident, and also Willem Neron and Luke Walsh have all been classified as DNF from what my screen's telling me here. And we've only gone one lap, and look at how many going in pit lane.
Into
That's
the pits.
a dozen or so.
I was just about to say there must be at least 10 cars heading into the pit lane. As things go, actually, you know, we're still under safety car condition here. They will be able to get whatever parts and bits fixed on their cars and be able to catch up to the back fairly quickly, but not exactly how you want to be starting the race. You know, you got yourself mentally built up, you're prepared to start the race. Okay, we had a slight mishap with us being removed from the room, so we couldn't actually commentate on things, but an absolute drama from the offset right there. And of course, any sort of damage at this point, it's just going to get you out of your comfort zone, and you've got to start betting about every little thing. So not an ideal start for some of these drivers, but we know the quality of driver we have here at GPVWC. They will be able to bounce back from this, and I'm sure some of these guys, some of our protagonists, they will be back with a vengeance, absolutely with a vengeance, later in the race. It's a long way to go yet, and only a good start.
Very true indeed. It's just, there you go, that just showed exactly what I was suspecting may happen. I didn't think it would happen lap 1, but there you go. But as I was just about to notice actually too, I suspect literally the whole second half of the field had to go into pit lane there. I reckon only the top 20 got away without damage there, so massive crash that was. And we've got people still in pit lane actually as we speak, still trying to repair damage, so they're going to go a good lap or 2 down. So not a good start, but as we said, there is that lucky dog card and all this other stuff that can happen that can bring them right back into this. So there's one beauty of oval racing, is that just because you're a couple laps down doesn't mean you're out of the fight, like in maybe circuit racing, where generally if you're a couple laps down you're pretty much out of it. So still on the safety car conditions here, not being called yet when it's going to come in. So that's a race director will call to the drivers when it's 2 laps before the caution comes in, then 1 lap, and then it will go in. So they'll get a bit of warning before they go in, which will mean we'll get warning too. but still all behind safety car. And as we said, Dave Junt leading at the moment, Mike Bell second, so he only dropped one spot, so he managed to stay out of the carnage, so credit to him there. Ben Willis up in third, great start to him. I think he started about 10th or so when he on the grid, so great stuff to Ben. Beautiful start there, and then Tom Vandervoort just in fourth, and Sven de Vries is top five there. And you've got Paul Watkins, Tim Butoika, Menno Klont, James Johnson, and then Jan Vanenen is your top 10. So just, yeah, what a start that is. What a start. So as you can see, there's a good, what is that now? We've got only the top 27 on the lead lap now. Everyone else behind is at least a lap down or out of the race. So what a start that was though, Chuggy.
It was indeed. I'm just going through the grid here while you were just talking about our grid order. And I do think that Joshua Anderson actually is our biggest beneficiary off that first lap, jumping 16 places. Yeah, there was a bit of drama with contact, but even still, that's a great start to avoid all that and get himself into a very strong position for the restart when we do go to a restart. I believe we still got a few cars just leaving the pack. I just see one now leaving pit lane. And we'll have lap cars now ahead of our pole position man, which I do believe is no one at this point. They'll be let by, and we are now on this lap here. We will be going to green, as we've just seen a few cars actually here. I don't think they should be overtaken because no one was ahead of P1, so I have to keep an eye out.
Oh no, there's been a crash. Someone's lost a front wing there down the front straight. So we're just talking about people passing. Someone's just lost a front wheel. Been a bit of a crash there down the main straight. Not sure who it is yet, but I just noticed them when I was flicking through the cameras. Someone's lost the front wheel. So even on the safety car, there was a bit of carnage there. It may have been as well as we were just saying, because people were a bit confused on who to pass, who not to pass. So there we go. So it's just something I noticed there. Sorry to interject there, Chucky.
No, not at all, not at all. So I do believe it's only meant to be cars ahead of our current leader, meant to unlap themselves. We've had a few people go through the field. So we will see. We may, of course, be wrong. We are humans, but we now have, hopefully, our grid forming up, ready to go onto the green flag lap here and back to racing.
Indeed. So here we go. Dave should be heading in. Let's say one lap to green, and it looks like everyone, most of the people seem to be up behind him as they should be. So it seems like it's all pretty set. As Offie peels into pit lane, take two of the start here in the Indy 500. We're set about, was it 4 laps in? I've already had carnage, but here we go. Take two. Hopefully we can have a bit cleaner as everyone starts to back up. Let's hope that everyone's ready for this though, and all
good start from Bell.
Back. Indeed, yep, good stuff. He's jumped it well. Look at that, he's off and away as everyone starts to go, trying to go wide. There's about 4 wide down the midfield. It's very, very tight down there, but there you go. Bell is, no, Junt, sorry, in the lead there. He's got a little gap actually to Bell. Nice work there to get that solid start. Bell there in second. You've got Van der Voort, Sven de Vries, Menno Klont, and they keep filing through now. It's mostly single file, so it looks like they're trying to keep it clean, which is good to see. As you can see down the back, it's a bit wider down the back. We'll also be going 3 wide actually down the midfield there. I think it's Lewis McGlade and co down there in midfield. But, well, as Van der Voort there trying to go around Bell, he gets him. So Van der Voort now actually in second place, takes Bell there. Nice work there, Van der Voort.
Yeah, indeed, that was a nice pass to get by there. So we did worry if slipstream would not be enough to get a pass done, but we proved wrong there. Van der Voort, he's up into P2 now, and actually I must admit, I thought Bell had the jump there. He was able just to get the car moving a little quicker than Junt, but Junt been able to maintain his pole position now. We'll have to wait and see if Van der Voort can now pass Junt for the lead. He's certainly very close to running down our back straight here. Pleased to say that we haven't had anyone else into a wall since our restart, so we are still racing here as we're going around turn 3, round turn 4 for lap. If I get this right, I believe it's lap 6 of 200. And my, Van der Voort is right up the gearbox of Junt's car. He's going to have a little pull out here. He's got the slipstream effect. He's alongside, over the yard of brakes, onto lap 7 and into turn 1. Plenty of space being given, nice to see, and Van der Voort takes the lead.
There we go, switch of lead race. There's your first lead change, other than from the start, first chaos there at the start. Tom Van der Voort now leads away, but Junt will have the slipstream back. He can very easily get it back, and it looks like he's going to try here down the back straight. As we said, it does look like that slipstream threat is certainly more powerful now, which is good to see because it will lead to more overtaking. There's a bit of debris there in turn 3.
Yeah,
I don't know if someone's had a crash
while
there.
all this has been going on, there's a few cars missing wings. We've got Ben Willis and I believe that Waterman having some issues. They're recovering into the pit lane, so it shouldn't be an issue. We shouldn't need another caution. But evidently, they've had a moment as we've been going around here.
Indeed, and actually, I think we've had another couple of retirements as well. What have we seen?
Anderson, he's dropped down. He was in P12, he's down in P23, and he's missing his rear wing.
Oh,
I don't know what's happened
Anderson
there, but I think he was in the pit lane. Of course, these cars so reliant on their downforce. It's going to be a real, challenge to bring that car home. Looks like he's got it safely onto the pit lane entry, though. He shouldn't be an issue. And we've got caution. We have a caution.
And caution. Yep, caution again. So already second caution. What's this now? Lap 8. So lap 8 is your second caution.
Oh, Bell! Bell into the wall, turn 4!
Oh, no! Bella's gone. It's going to be right in front of the field. Is anyone else going to collect him? No. Good job to him. He's kept it to the wall. Let's hope everyone can avoid that. So there we go. Bell gone. I didn't actually see what caused that, but there you go. Mike Bell falling down the field. 18th. He's going to fall even further, but he did keep his rear wing, so it's just the front wing, so it's actually not too bad, thankfully for him, barring suspension damage. So
yeah, he should be able to pit in here. Normally the pit lane is closed, but if the car is sufficiently damaged, he should be able to get that repaired, no issue. But I have a feeling just slowing down on that caution, one thing that I certainly came across in practice is if you put too much of your front left on the apron, the back will step out. We were talking about potentially having some oversteer moments going in draft, but Bell, he's lost some vital track position. He's down into P22 now, but our race leader is Tom van der Voort.
Indeed, he's closely followed by David Junt there. And it's Sven de Vries at the back. Oh, sorry, at the third place. And actually, caution has been ignored, sorry. So Grace just clearing that up there. So he's actually, Sven de Vries has got a whole bunch of them behind him. Watkins, Timmy Toy, Clonts, James Johnson's not far behind that. So our top two are actually 4 seconds up the road. So Tom van der Voort and David Junt here are just absolutely gone up the road. Possibly helped by this Mike Bell incident, whatever caused that. I'm not sure what caused it, because I didn't really see it happen. But speak of Bell, he's now in pit lane there in P25, dropping further, but only a lap down, so it's not too bad for Bell. Could be worse, but as we look at these, some of these guys, 3 laps down, 4 laps down, so a lot of people had some big accidents there. And we'll just see, where is Josh Ranson? He's now down 29th, and he's still in pit lane, so bad luck for Josh. So I don't know what happened to him. I'm assuming just some kind of accident happened, so do feel sorry for him there. He really made up for it in that first caution.
Indeed, it's a shame that obviously a few cars have had to go so many laps down so early, but having said that, we've got a long way to go, and a caution could change well and truly everything. And as we are just following Van der Voort and Junt here, our leading pair, they're coming up to traffic for the first time. Now, we mentioned earlier, of course, blue flag's not in effect, so it's going to be interesting to see how these guys pick their way through these back markers. They're having their own fight, of course, for the position. Looks like Willis is getting well out the way, which is nice and gentlemanly of him. He doesn't have to do that, but they've got right one, and there was just a bit of debris flicked up there. So we've got Muscat ahead of our leaders now, and can Junt now make any sort of move happen? As of course, you've got to leave a bit of space. He's having a little look. There's plenty of cars to get a mega slipstream. Multiples of slipstream going on. We've got almost 4 wide down into turn 3. This is going to get a bit hairy, but by the looks of it, everyone's been sensible. Oh my goodness me, that red car, I think that's Muscat. Just a little bit of understeer. This is the car's fully loaded through 3 there. Van der Voort's been able to break away just a bit from Junt there. Now Muscat, he's quite rightly not letting Junt through. But Junt, he's alongside. He should be able to get past him down into turn 1 this time round. No, Muscat, he's got that slipstream off Van der Voort. But Van der Voort, if he can just stay out here, he'll be able to allow Muscat to sucker on up. And Junt's going to have a real challenge to try and get by.
Very true indeed. As you can see, he's going to be a real thorn to Junt here on the side, but as we said, he's got every right. Junt can't go off him here because he's got every right. This is the way of oval racing. He has the right to fight for his position. For his laps. So here he goes again. He's going to try to go down the inside this time. Looks like he's got him. Reed going a little wide, so looks like he's finally dealt with that little threat there. But there he goes. Those two are, as I said, well ahead actually of the lead. Chasing trio, or actually 5 of them there. Paul Watkins now is ahead of that pack. Sven de Vries is still behind. You've got Timmy Toykers in there, and then Clonts, there's a whole bunch of them in there fighting away. Not far behind, you've got Hogan in there, Yannon as well, and you've got Engel and all these other guys behind. A lot of people. They've actually spread out a little bit, which is interesting to see. It's actually pretty spread now after the restart, so obviously all these little incidents have made everyone really spread out in the field. So there are plenty of little battles going on throughout the field, and I'm just thinking it's Sandy Choda and who is that? Is that Demetrius? No, sorry, Sandy Choda and Fran Lopez going out there, and about the midfield there. Simon Watman not far ahead. Oh, they're looking like going 3 wide as well, so plenty of 3 wide action. I'm very surprised to see this. Yep, 3 wide, there goes Fran. Amazing stuff to see here, all this very, very tight action, as I think we 20 cars at the moment on the lead lap, so literally half the field already is a lap down because of all these accidents. But Van der Voort's still leading, Junt back all over the back of him here. There's still that chasing pack of about 3rd down, what was that, down to about 6th or 7th?
Yeah, exactly, I was just about to mention, we've got a light scrap developing here. Sven de Vries running it right to the wall. Literally millimetres left in that one. On exit from turn 2. And yes, we've got a lovely scrap here. We've got Johnson, we've got Watkins, we've got Toyk, I believe, in there as well. All fighting over 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th place. And we have a lap car involved as well. So this is going to be one to keep an eye on, certainly. Okay, we may have our leaders running away a little bit at the moment. But we've got a tasty little scrap going on here for our final podium position. And with such a long way to go, of course, don't keep an eye on anything. Three wide down into turn one. Who's going to be brave? Looks like we've got Watkins on the inside, Johnson in the middle, and we've got Sven de Vries on the outside. Sven de Vries has lost out, but Johnson, lovely move on the middle. He decided to take the middle ground there, and it certainly worked from he's now inherited P3. Lovely move there, down into turn one.
Indeed, that was very interesting. So I thought it was, to be honest, I was very scared of ending in chaos. It could have easily ended in one of them being a bit too deep and then tapping someone else, and off they went. But good stuff from James Johnson there to get the move. Now they're actually 5.7 seconds behind leading two. So Tom Vandervoort and David Junt here, I think they're almost possibly working together a bit here, just trying to get ahead of these guys. They're working wonders at the moment as they just seem to tag along with each other. Junt is right behind him. They're coming up on Mike Bell, actually. There you go. They're coming back up on their former leading man. So that'll be interesting to see what Bell does there. Of course, as we said, just has every right to fight for it. So very interesting to watch as we go through the field, and everyone else still fights going on throughout the field, and still that third place battle is absolutely going off. They're almost three wide again. Just that battle there for third is heated, that's for sure, to say the least. As Sven de Vries is in there, you got who's James Johnson still there in third, but Watkins looking to go around the outside. He's going to try to use the high ground. Always can work here in oval racing. But no, James Johnson there hugs it through, and he seems to have it pretty much secured there. Team Toyka not far behind either, and then you've got Menno Klont also having a beautiful battle with Sam Jones is lapped down, but yeah, having a battle with the luck car there as well, and then it's another big gap, about another 6 seconds back in the hole. So all these little mini packs almost developing throughout the field, and then everyone else is a bit spread out. So
sorry to kind of talk over you there. I thought there was a slight little love nudge between Watkins and Johnson, but thankfully nothing too bad came of it. But no, as you rightly say, things are starting to break up now into these mini packs of little scraps. And I think actually quite correctly, you've called out Vandervoort and Junt. I think they're definitely working together. That slipstream effect, we saw this at Daytona. Of course, this is a massive factor in oval racing. If you work together and try and basically push each other around, you'll gain significant time across a series of laps. Basically, just in the slipstream effect, just being able to pull the car. In fact, some teams at Daytona were actually working together, having one car run ahead, and then swoop around to try and maximise the effect. So as these guys fight, of course, they're finding they're going to be slowing each other down, but they'll be gaining time with cars around them all the time. And just keep an eye on this fight for P3, 4, 5, and 6. You'll be able to see visibly over the next few laps, they'll be able to catch the car ahead, being Jason Muscat, the red Indy car there. You'll be able to see that they just visibly catch them much quicker because they're working together using that slipstream and being able to gain a significant lap time advance. So lots to keep an eye on. Our leaders, the gap now up to 6.7 seconds. The gap's increasing every single lap as we have just having a car pit in. I think that was Demetrius Trulanis.
Demetrius, yeah, he's missing a front right wheel, and the rear wing. So obviously had a big crash with the wall. Someone just went off, yeah. It was Yeah, Charlie, I didn't quite catch who that was, but someone's just gone at turn one. So big crash again there.
Bell's lost his rear wing. He was going around the outside of turn two pretty slowly, so it's going bad to worse for Mike Bell.
And actually, Ivan Navarro's lost his rear wing, so he might have been the one going around as well. And he's already a lap down, and actually, he's stopped the car, and he's just exited down pit lane, so he's just retired himself as well. Demetrius has retired in action as well. That's almost 10 retirements already. We're only 21 laps in, so just massive attrition rate already. As we did say, though, this is going to be a big battle for survival more than actual just hard racing here, that's for sure. There's plenty of hard racing so far.
Exactly, and we saw this at Daytona, a fairly similar attrition rate. Just by the nature of the number of cars, and of course, the margins here are so fine. You know, if you make a mistake, that could potentially be several cars running into that accident. Of course, at the speeds these guys are doing, 230 miles an hour as they go into some of these corners, there's just physically covering so much distance. The ability to get the car stopped, controlled, and out the way safely is not an easy one to do. But as things have actually progressed in our fight here between P3, 4, 5, and 6, we have a little split away now. We've got Sven de Vries and James Johnson along with Teemu Toyka. They've made a break. Paul Watkins, who was fighting in that little scrap, he's dropped off a little bit, almost a second through all that. But these guys fighting so hard. There are a few moments, not sure if you heard, where I was almost wincing. There's little contacts and rubs, just a little bit too much. That can unstabilize the car, and that's your race well and truly run. But now we have Teemu Toyka. He's now got past James Johnson for third place, and it now takes that position quite nicely. Thank you very much. We'll have to see if Johnson can come back at him down into turn one. But this scrap is developing very nicely, and we'll have to see if these guys start working together or start scrapping to try and make a gap cars behind.
Yes, very true. And actually, I was just going to look at the gap there. It's 8.1 seconds now. So at this point, it seems they're still too busy scrapping to really notice the gap, although it just went down to 7.8. But as we said, and it seems to be working, the leaders just, the top two, just working together, keeping through. Junt still hasn't made past Van der Voort. He probably could have, but he's just deciding to play it smart, be there at the right time. He's still got a lot of racing to go, so no point throwing it away now. Just stick behind him, get ahead, stay with the leading trio, and then make your move right at the right time. That's, of course, how it is for a lot of oval racing. Right place, right time, and you can suddenly be well ahead as that battle is still going on. That's probably one of your closest battles in the field right now. And we got Watkins pitting. Oh,
P6, yes, okay, so that's interesting. I mean, so we weren't sure about how pit strategies would work, but, you know, this could be perhaps he tactically short-fueled, wait for perhaps dramas to occur, get the car in early. Kind of an odd time to do it, though. You would have thought during the caution if he wanted to do that kind of thing and try and steal a march on some cars, but the tyres, the setup, they should be good for well over half the race distance. Who knows, maybe he's just pitting early, get some fresh tyres on, go into the sort of three-quarter stage of the second half of the race, or three-quarter stage of the whole race, I should say, and then have some fresh rubber for the end, who knows. But an interesting, perhaps, bit of strategy. We'll have to see if it comes good for him towards the end, but he's going to drop some significant time to the cars around him.
Indeed, and actually Sam Jones is just going past as well. I don't know if he was pitting for damage or not, but there you go, Paul Watkins there. First of our guys to pit, not for damage. That was a strategic, I'd assume, meant to do stop, unless he had some suspension damage there, which he couldn't handle, but I didn't think that was the case from how close they're battling. So that's interesting to see. We'll have to watch Paul Watkins there in the race, although, going across the grass there, there's a dangerous exit back on the track, but, geez, poor Ben Hole having to go well left, but interesting to watch how he goes throughout the race, if he comes back up the field, and maybe he's got a hidden ploy there. He possibly has actually done some long-distance testing. Sorry about that, was my phone, I think. But yeah, he's possibly done some testing, so he may know exactly how long they can go, how long the tyres can go, and this may very well, as we said, be a tactical decision here. Maybe he's waiting for, maybe he's expecting a safety car in the near future, and he's going to have the pit now, and then when everyone else pits, he's at the front of the pack. That could very well be his strategy. That'll be very interesting to watch, as there's still that battle for third now. It's Tim Troika, James Johnson, and Sven de Vries still. We've got a bit of a gap back to Menno Klomp there, who's in 6th place, but Ben Hurrell actually in 7th, he's doing very well there in his race, but that battle is still very close, and as we said, the leader's still well ahead, 9.4, now nearly a quarter of a lap, so these leaders are just absolutely flooring it out the gap now, and that's, as we said, they're just working together, and it seems to be working wonders at the moment. Be interesting to see how that goes throughout the race, as they maybe start to actually fight for position and try and swap for that lead.
Now, we were talking about gainers. Ben Horrell up in 7th. He started in the very last row. He started P39 in this race, so he's gone up 32 places in a very short space of time, 27 or so laps. So he's having a cracker of a race so far. And this is a kind of almost a pristine point. He's running in free air on his own, so he's not going to be doing the blistering times of some of the cars around him, but he'll be covering the distance more importantly. He'll be able to just focus on his race, what he's going to do in terms of strategy. And we'll have to keep an eye on him as the race goes on. He did say keep an eye on him after the halfway point. So, Ben, my eye is well and truly on you, having a good one so far, as we have now a change for lead in, or change, I should say, for P3 between Team Utoika. These guys still scrapping over the final podium point-paying position, or podium placing position, I should say. And Team taking 3rd place yet again. We've got Sven de Vries. Sven de Vries, actually, he started in the midfield. He's having a good run. He's up into P5, so all sorts of, actually, now things are settled down almost a bit, all sorts of movers and shakers really benefiting off of a bit of a chaotic start. But that is racing for you. You've got to make your own luck sometimes, and some of these guys well and truly benefiting from some dramas at the very early, well, in fact, the first lap.
Indeed, very true, and I was just about to point out how many are left. There's only 28 cars left, so 12 drivers have already retired, and we're only 29 laps in, so that's how much attrition this race has. There's just so many retirements with those first lap shenanigans, really. But yeah, that battle still for third is really our only and our closest, really, fight for position, although we're just seeing there...
Caution!
Lognovsky and caution, yep. I think it's Pavel Lognovsky and Tommy Kurvinen there have had a big accident there somewhere. They've both lost the rear wing down in, where are they? They're down 13th and 14th in the midfield there. And they've both lost the rear wing, so that might be what has caused this caution.
Janinen is out. He's retired the car. And we also have Mark Reed, who has left as well, so that's another retirement. Everyone now down to the monitor I have here, down to P12, has been lapped. And we're just hearing from cameraman extraordinaire that Pavel, he just lost the car, and unfortunately with the nature of these tracks and the walls, that's Joshua Anderson. Joshua Anderson, who was doing so well off the start, looks like he's missing all of his wings as well. What a disaster. And we've got, I think that was Troda. Troda just stopped on the back straight, and Anderson, I think he had nowhere to go, just ran straight to the back of him.
Yeah, it looks like
Goodness
Sandy.
gracious!
Yeah, it looks. Anderson now 27th. He's actually last of the guys now who are still running. Sandy, well, it looks like I can tell he stopped to get out of the race to assume that he could escape and not get in anyone's way. He didn't realise that poor old Joshua was right behind him there, didn't know where to go. So unlucky there for Josh. And yeah, Jan is the other time. So 26th left now and 11 on the lead lap. So just a massive attrition rate here. But as we know, of course, when you've got cars on the track, there's less likelihood of a crash. Oh, and then just a cameraman again telling us that he came out of pit lane there, Josh, and nearly collected the safety car. So almost some chaos there with that, with the safety car getting involved. So a lot of stuff to keep an eye on here, a bit too much for us to do at the moment. So thank you to Cam here for pointing this stuff out, because we're trying to watch what we can, but it's just so much happening. It really is unbelievable so far.
Anderson is 7 laps down, and his car certainly doesn't look too healthy, as I believe that's a car in the pit lane. That's Vosnowski. So he's continuing, it seems. So, well, that's good news. He's been able to get the car repaired. But yeah, that car certainly has seen a lot of better days, and I think just by natural pace of things, he's going to be filtering down through the field just until the pit lane reopens so we can get his car repaired. Strictly speaking, his car is badly enough damaged, I'm sure, to be repaired straight away. But of course, I think just keeping himself going in the race, not causing anyone else any dramas, very gently, good stuff. But oh goodness gracious me, I think that's Kuvanen coming out of the pits very hot and almost running into the back of Anderson. So it could have gone from bad to worse. But now we're in caution. We are obviously going to wait for pit lane to reopen and have some cars potentially cycle through and get themselves repaired. Tom, do you want to have a rundown here of our current order?
Indeed. I'll just quickly also, just before I do that, I'll mention Paul Watkins has been in the pits again, so I actually think he was involved in that incident somewhere along the line. So, as the pits just opened, but there you go. So, leader is Tom Vandervoort at the moment. He's from David Junt there in the lead. They're still going along pretty well, actually. Doing pretty well, nice and consistent. James Johnson there in third. Sven de Vries is your fourth place man. It's Timo Torke and fifth. Here we go.
Oh my goodness, everyone
Look
pits.
At this. So we'll do the order later on, but look at this, nearly everyone pitting. In fact, yeah, look at that, everyone on the lead lap pitting, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So this is everyone diving in. I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of the lap guys maybe take advantage, although this is going to help them a lot. So people like, although Tim Stroud, oh no, a couple of lap guys are actually in too, so I stand corrected, but Pavel's still out there, and he just pitted, so he could benefit greatly from this. He's only 1 lap down. Paul Watkins as well. There's a couple of 2 lap down guys here. Matt Richards is another one. He's right behind the safety car, who really benefits. Look at it in pit lane. It's just a bit chaotic nearly. I think someone's actually spun there, is it? Oh, it's Anderson. Oh, yeah, poor Josh has actually spun in pit lane and almost caused a bit of carnage there, but it looks like everyone got away with it. Look at that, everyone diving to pit lane. We'll see who's out first. Still Vandervoort. Actually, Vandervoort didn't pit.
No, Vandervoort did not pit, so evidently he's thinking about going long. Perhaps one of the real beneficiaries here is Matt Richards. He should be released to be able to cycle round. And of course, obviously, we've got a lot of cars refueling, taking on new, potentially fresh tyres. So yeah, it's good to see that everyone's rejoining safely. Obviously, we don't want anyone coming back from the pits on cold tyres, spinning themselves into a wall and really doing themselves a disservice. But thankfully, everyone so far rejoining nice and safely. So we'll have a few cars still just exiting the pit lane. And that's McGlade just leaving the pit lane right now, and we will have a we'll have the safety car pull in, I expect, in a few moments once the lap order has been sorted out.
Indeed, very true. And Josh still is getting reattached. And Vandervoort in the pits, as our cameraman just pointed out. Yep, Vandervoort in, and I think that's
Matt Richards as well.
Yeah,
I think that's a bit of a tactical blunder from those two, because I expect with traffic and things, they're going to come out well behind the leaders. We'll have to see what the pace of the safety car is, but that could be a bit of a drama. And I've actually only just realised that both of these drivers are driving for Simcraft this evening, so this could actually be a tactical piece. You never know. Might be working together to try and pull each other through the field. So it's going to be interesting to see. We have actually, I believe, a group of cars. I'm just trying to find the safety car here, all parked up. Yep, nope, that's all good and proper. These guys, I'm sure, will be released momentarily. And yeah, there we go. I'm just having a race director confirm which drivers should be passing the safety car at this point, as they now go on to do so. And everyone is now leaving the pit lane. So so there we are. First round potentially of actual fuel stops, non-damage stops, and it's definitely going to have shaken the lead up, that is for sure. So we're still in the very, very early stages of this race, and if there's anything actually you want to share with us, your thoughts on the race so far, any opinions, anyone you want to support, feel free to tweet in at GPVWC Live, hashtag GPVWC, and we'll give you a shout out and discuss thoughts and opinions as the race goes on. There's plenty of life in this race to go yet, even though we've had quite a few cars unfortunately retire. But as we saw at Indianapolis, we had a similar kind of attrition rate in the early stages, and things settled down for a great finale. So stick with this. I think we're going to we will have some great racing to come yet.
Indeed, that is very true indeed. As Chuggy said there, make sure you tweet in any thoughts you have, anyone you're going for, anyone to look out for, whatever you're thinking about this race, just tweet it in and we'll make sure we mention it on the broadcast here. As Josh Anderson is still in pit lane, by the way, he's now 9 laps down, so poor Josh there is not having a day. I mean, it started so well and he just wrong place, wrong time, has a few instances and suddenly he's right at the very back of the field, although he hasn't retired it yet. It looks like he's still going to try and keep going. So credit to Josh, he hasn't just given up, he's going to keep going. You never know, and even 9 laps down, it can still suddenly turn your way.
Exactly. And if you don't mind me, talking over here just as the drivers get ready to go to green. In fact, last time out, we're on an oval at Indianapolis. We actually had our P15 finisher, Philip Morby. He was about 15 or 20 laps down, but still got a point because drivers did not finish. So, Joshua, loving the fact you're still with us. I hope it comes good for you. Indeed,
very true. He's just come out of pit lane, so he's now back out on track. He'll rejoin at the end of the pack. But 1 lap to green is what our race director has just said there in the chat, so we should be going green very, very shortly once more, and hopefully we can get some nice close racing. There's obviously John out the front. It'll be interesting to see now how he goes now that he's not got Tom Vanderbilt there to tow along with him. He gets in a bit of a battle here with Sven and co. As in goes Dave, about to go green again. They're all starting to pile up once more. Going to be waiting for Dave to put the foot down.
Car going into the pits. Car going into the pits as well.
There you go, someone in. And we're underway now as John is away, and it looks like Sven de Vries has got a nice little start. He's off and away. Guys behind as well, even there in 3rd and 4th. James Johnson there defending Continue Toyka down the inside. He might get that position there. Has he got it? No, just going to stick it around the outside, although Timu will have the slipstream, of course, there, guys on the outside. As they battle on out for that podium spot. John's still leading over. He's got Sven de Vries and everybody else all over his backside. And here we go, Sven there looking to get slipstream. Is he going to have a look down at turn 3? Looks keen. No, he's going to stick behind. He may as well, actually, come to think of it, may start to do what they did to them at the back in 3rd place. They might start doing the same thing and start working together, trying to get away from everybody else. So it certainly seemed to work really well for Jonathan Vandervoort earlier in the race.
It did indeed, and actually just to call out where Vandervoort is, he's down in P9, so I think that pit stop, even though it was a lap later, has cost him as Sven de Vries nicely spotted it up the inside.
Big crash, sorry to intervene there, but huge crash in the midfield. Another caution, it was on the main straight, I don't know who caused it, but from about P11 down, Matt, and poor old Josh Anderson again is involved. He just cannot catch a break. Oh, Josh, I really feel for you, man. Lost his front rear wing once again. Oh.
Well, Lewis McGlade has retired from whatever that was. Meanwhile, our leaders are still racing. We have Sven de Vries. He is these guys are racing to the line, as I believe they're allowed to do. It looks like Sven de Vries will be able to get the car to the line. It's all going to be about who can get the slipstream going. 3 wide, running towards the line. But it looks to me like the order is going to be determined here. It's going to be de Vries, Junt, and Toyka. And these guys now backing off, as they should. So our top 4, as it stands at the moment, is de Vries, Junt, Toyka, and Johnson. A complete change around from what we're expecting. But it looks like cars are indeed recovering. They'll be going into the pits, getting themselves repaired, as we'll have another caution period. And we're only 37 laps into this 200-lap race. Yeah, more drama, absolutely. I mean, what can you say other than goodness gracious? Some guys have been truly unfortunate. Joshua, honestly, proper respect. He's still continuing, and you never know if there's still moments like this with guys losing wheels or whatever else. A point still maybe in prospect. It's a long way to go yet.
Indeed. And actually, I just noticed Paul Watkins as well was involved, and he was up the front and had that pit stop, and it just seemed to go on downhill from there. So poor Paul Watkins there involved once more. He's down in 17th, pitting again for repairs, and Pavel Lokanovsky is behind him as well, pitting as well. Simon Watman's actually DNF, didn't notice that, but that's what's going to put it down to, what's that going to be, 25 cars left, so we're nearly down to half the field. Actually, who's that? Someone just, it's McLeod, sorry, is falling down, but yeah, it should be 25, even 24 cars that are left in this race, so we're nearly down to half the field already, and we haven't even got to a quarter race distance yet. So as we said though, Daytona had a very similar attrition rate, so hopefully these guys can sort of be a bit cleaner here later on in the race. Although, as we were saying, with 40 cars on the field, it's really quite hard to not have some kind of an accident with so many cars in such close proximity. So it's really interesting to see how this all goes from here on in, as we all start to line up once more behind the safety car and hopefully go green soon. So all the guys with damage will sort themselves out.
Yeah, indeed. It's certainly been a very accident-packed race. I think there's no way of getting around it so far. So I was just going through the field just to see where our leaders from the start were. Mike Bell, he's currently P21, he's 3 laps down. Matt Richards, who was also alongside him on the start, he's currently in the pit lane, P22, which is curious because I'm pretty sure I saw him pit just a few moments ago. I think that was Anderson just recovering around. I think he may have just clouted the wall, so it's still going from bad to worse. And goodness gracious me, that IndyCar's lost its front and rear wing again, and by the looks of it, it's probably got some suspension damage as well. So poor old Josh, get it in the pits, mate, get it fixed up. So he's now up to P25 because he has kept going, which is the important thing, which is what we like to see. So we have 25 runners and riders. We've got guys all over the place. We're just hearing that Matt Richards, in fact, he's been in the pits the whole time. He hasn't actually come back out. So he hasn't gone out and pitted back. Evidently there's some serious damage on that car which needs to be repaired. So all go. We're now on lap 39, I believe, here. And yeah, I mean, all sorts of moments here, there, and everywhere. Unfortunately, we haven't. There goes Richards. He's able to leave the pit lane now. And if he's actually fairly quick, he might be able to get around in just such a way that he's ahead of the safety cars. He might be able to cycle all the way around. So that's kind of worked out kind of nice, I guess. But plenty of cars still recovering round from that moment. And unfortunately, there's an odd place to have it on the start-finish straight of all places.
Yeah, out of the last corner, I just saw it when I was looking at the leaders, just massive smoke plumes behind, so I'm not sure who caused it. It's possible maybe someone tagged the rear of somebody else at the exit of turn 4. It's entirely possible, as more guys are still pitting, by the way. Jason Muscat actually is up in 16th. He was at the back there getting lapped earlier on the race. He's actually up in 16th, 1 off the points. So, once again, as we were saying, you just stick it out, stay out of trouble, and just stay to the end, as Josh is doing as well. You can get points just because everyone keeps retiring from accidents. So, as it's... And yep, Johnson's weaving, as our cameraman says there, weaving quite furiously to get those tyres warmed up. Obviously really keen to keep them as warm as possible to get that really quick jump off the line. As I think there's 9 people now on the lead lap, so unbelievable attrition rate here at the Indy 500. But as we did say, this is oval racing. It does happen, even in the real world stuff of NASCAR. Everything there is big crashes in the races there. So attrition rate a lot higher than circuit racing, but as we said, oval racing, that is to be expected. As Josh still in pit lane now, about to go 10 laps down, but credit to you, Josh, you're still going, and it's been an unbelievably bad turn of events in the last, half or dozen laps. Just everything's gone from amazing to absolutely awful, but credit to Josh, he's still going, still pushing ahead, and that's going to be possibly really beneficial later in the race.
Absolutely, and yeah, it's certainly a high attrition rate, but what we found actually at Daytona is we did have a few moments fairly early on, but once people, we had a good run of laps, at least 20 or 30, and people got into the rhythm, more importantly. They got used to the cars around them being so close, the walls being so unforgiving. And, people settled down, and good racing was had for almost a good 100 laps before the next caution. So I have complete faith that these guys will be able to keep it on the island nice and safely. It's just all about getting that rhythm and getting consistency. And of course, the worst thing to happen is if you're running your race and having a lovely time of it, and all of a sudden someone has a moment elsewhere, you have to slow down, get behind the safety car again, and have to build up that rhythm all over again. So lots of dramas early on in this Indy 500 race, and it's just unfortunate. And it's I think, to be fair, actually, it's kind of a byproduct of the style of racing. You've got so many cars going so quickly with walls so close. It's to be expected that if there is a bit of contact, it's going to result in a fairly hefty accident.
Indeed, safety car just coming in now. Here we go again. This is our 3rd caution gone. 3rd time we're going to go again here. Hopefully this time we can get a good run of laps, as we were saying, and get into the greens. Here we go, green, we're underway once more. Sven de Vries leads them away. But David jumped right behind him. He's going to go for it. No, he's going to stick behind for the moment.
For my money, that was
actually looking to go around the outside.
Sorry to talk over you there, but for my money, that was a bit of a poor restart. I think de Vries was trying to be a bit clever and try and back people up, but once that green's called, you can put your foot down and try and wriggle around. I was able to make a fair few positions at Daytona by doing that. So de Vries, he still leads. Junt is still second with Toyka just behind. But I don't think his tactic quite worked there. Junt very close, very menacing. We'll have to keep an eye, see if Junt's able to slip anything down into turn 1, perhaps, as we complete our first racing lap back up to full speed.
Indeed, let's look at that. It's top, I think it's top 6 there, even 7, 8. So almost all the guys on the lead lap actually are all in a big bunch at the front. So as we said, that's restart from his friend didn't really work, as we saw with Tom Vandervoort and Dave Jones at the front in the previous restarts. They were able to get a nice little gap and spread out the field. Oh, jeez, I swear I just saw Sven sort of back, go off the wall there at turn 1. But as we saw, as they got a much better restart. So obviously that tactic not quite working. But I mean, good everything to try something a little bit different. There is Team Utoika is going to go around the outside. They're too wide there, all four of them.
Yep.
And turn 3 is interesting to see.
2 by 2, and of course, just the nature of the physics of the things. There is a little bit of a pressure effect actually by the wall, and you can actually gain potentially a mile an hour or two by running close to the wall, just because there's a little bit less pressure of air. But Toika is really bringing the fight to Yunt right now. I think we might just about be too wide, potentially 3 wide, because Clont, look at Clont, lovely move. He's up into B3. He's been able to sneak by all sneakily, and now Timu's got to have to try and get by him. But we now have Yunt following Sven de Vries going around turn 2 here, and he's got a lovely exit, truly lovely exit. Can he get by Sven de Vries here? Not quite, not quite. He's tucked back in for a bit more slipstream. I'm not sure if he'll have enough to try and get into turn 3 here, but no, very Garda station as Toika. Toika passes Clont. He's able to get up the inside into turn 3 there as they run through turn 4 to complete the lap. They're just about to catch up. Anderson, our hero of the race so far, most certainly. And Anderson, he's being very sensible. He's letting them all by. He doesn't want to lose a front or rear wing yet again as they complete the lap. It's Sven de Vries still leading with Yunt very close behind, with Toika following suit.
Indeed, and there's a very interesting battle watch. We'll have to watch that one very carefully, the top 4 there. Right at the front, and then you've got James Johnson behind as well. He's defending from Ben Horrell. Ben Horrell was also, as we said, at the back. He's up in 6th now, so that's, as we said before, just staying out of trouble. Look at that, he's up in 6th already, so he could be a big-time beneficiary here. Who knows? I mean, a win is now the question, as we said. And as our cameraman just said, Toika's through. Toika's through in the lead. Sven's
What a
on the
move.
3rd. Look at that. Timu, Toika, 2 amazing moves. And he leads. Unbelievable stuff from Timu. Just absolutely class act that was. And now David John's still 2nd, but Sven de Vries now down to 3rd after all that. So absolutely fantastic stuff from Timu. Timu there, 2 fantastic moves, and he's done beautifully there to be in the lead now. He's got David John still right behind him.
Absolutely, that was just a lovely move. Oh, I think that was a little touch of the wall. You can get away with that just about, but no, just put the car on the inside of turn 3, and all of a sudden those 3 guys who are fairly high sticking to that wall come in across like, oh, there's a car there, we can't tuck on our normal line, and all of a sudden, oh, De Vries, oh my goodness me. I just had a miniature heart attack there. De Vries, he just put too much of that left tire on the tarmac, on the apron I should say, and the back started to go, but goodness gracious me, amazing cat-like reflexes. He caught that. That could very nearly have been another caution for De Vries. Great save. He remains in P3, but he
He's
got
jumped
several...
now into the lead. He's just taken the lead. Sorry, took over there, but he's just taken the lead. And actually, if you notice the gap again, thanks to that mistake, they've got a 2nd now, these top 2, and I wonder if they'll do the same thing they did before, just that now we've got Timu to do it with him. What's interesting to see is they're now, the other guys behind are falling into the clutches of Johnson and Horrell behind, so that 3rd place battle might spark up once more. They're down to about 7th, within about a 2nd of each other. It's a bit more of a gap band Van Voort there in 8th, and then Fran Lopez is actually in 9th. He's your last lead lap man at the moment. But yeah, look at that. Interesting to see as now Yunt leads from Team Toika, and Toika, look at the gap actually. He's just sticking behind a little bit. Maybe he's going to do what they did before earlier in the race. Just tag along, team together, and then just gap the rest of the field. The gap is growing ever so slowly. As that fight for 3rd, I believe it is still going strong with Sven, James Johnson, Ben Horrell, and Menno Clont having a really close tussle there for 3rd. It'll be interesting to watch how that develops throughout this.
Yeah, absolutely. You got temporary alliances being made on the fly as we move around. It's like Mikhail Toyomala, he's had a moment, he's just retired from the race. But yeah, it's interesting to see how these alliances are made and broken as cars move around on the track. I just heard that James, he's now up into P3, lovely move. Ben Horrell, from all the way at the back of the grid, he's P4, and he's now eyeing up James Johnson for a podium position. Hey, Horrell's alongside, he's got the move pretty much sealed and delivered. Turns it in, lovely stuff, he takes P3 from the back. Lovely stuff. He's got the move done now. I've got to keep an eye on Sven de Vries. Sven de Vries very close to Johnson. He's not quite close enough to make it past that time round. But we've got 4 cars in a row, all within less than 2 tenths of one another, all fighting over the last podium position once again. And it's now Ben Horrell who occupies that 3rd place. But as we were saying just a moment ago, the gap between P2 and... oh, goodness gracious me! Where's David Yunt gone? Yunt, where's he gone? Has he had a moment?
Yunt?
He's down to P9.
Like he is, yeah, looks like he must. Oh no, hang on.
No, timing error. Oh my goodness. Oh!
Bloody timing.
Goodness gracious me. R-Factor's
Easy.
trying to play tricks on us. Oh, Joshua Anderson.
I swear it's usually Fran Lopez who's the one who's got the timing issues, but obviously Johnson inherited them here for the Indy 500, but yeah, a bit of a heart attack moment there as we thought Yunt had gone, but it was just the timing, so he's still leading though. Continue to work right behind, and Horrell and everyone behind there. 1.8 now, so they are indeed working together it seems, and it is working very well. And they're still battling for 3rd once more, again. and Menno Klont there at the back, and then Martin Bolgan not far behind that, and then even Tom Vandervoort sort of catching up as well. So Junt again, I think, timing once more.
Interesting. Now, this is obviously going across the timing line into the third sector. I wonder if he's just taking a line and it's not quite catching that he's doing that. That could be a potential issue. Just with some of the game here, just calculating where cars are on track, but just keeping an eye now on our fight for P3. We've got Ben Horrell who still occupies it, but he's had a bit of a ropey exit from turn 3, and James Johnson is looking very menacing in the rear wing of that Indy car there. Horrell, he's been able to keep it together though going into turn 3, as we've got now a back marker, I think that's Sam Jones. He's now going to have an impact. Oh my goodness me! Oh, contact!
Oh no!
Oh, he's held it together though. 4 wide, goodness! Oh, that was... Now there was
moments.
Absolutely, Johnson's now filtered to the back of that, but I think that's just a demonstration of some cars, with that slipstream effects carrying so much more speed. I think Horrell there just caught out by how much more momentum he had going through turn 4 there, and well done for holding that car on the island. That could very easily have just ended up in the wall, and that would have been his race run, which given where he is, it would be a terrible thing. But now we have a new man in P3. It's Sven de Vries after all that. However, the gap now between himself and it's now JJ, it's now James Johnson. Thank you, cameraman extraordinaire. Lovely move. He's around the outside here on turn 4. That should be just about the job done. And Ben Horrell. Horrell, he's back. He's feeling feisty. He's up alongside again. Oh, right. I've had a moment here of a back market, but I'm back now, and I'll have P3 back. Thank you very much. Down into turn 1. Job done. Lovely stuff. Horrell back into P3. What a superb drive Horrell's having here. And he now has, however, a big job to do. The gap between this lovely scrap for P3 and our drivers battling over the P1 and 2 positions is now up to 3.5 seconds. Sorry, I'm reading that the wrong way around. So these guys, with their scrapping, is very entertaining for us. But if they want to have an effect on the race, it's going to they're going to have to start thinking a bit more team tactic-wise, as Junt and Toyka are doing. Crossing the start-finish line, as I was speaking just a moment ago, down into turn 1. Toyka currently leads from Junt, and I think these two are just working together, not really challenging each other, just focusing on carrying as much speed around this 2.5-mile circuit as possible.
Indeed, that's very true. Very good point to make there. And it is very true. As you can see, 3.8 now. It's almost a carbon copy of what Tom Vandervoort and David Junt were doing earlier in the race, except for now it's Teamy Toyka who's doing it with David Junt. That third place battle still going on strong. And you've got old Martin Bolgan behind. He's just there in that right place, be accent with those 4 guys, and he could really benefit from suddenly be up in third place. Wouldn't take much. I did notice also our hero, Josh Anderson, pitted again there while we were talking about that battle. I don't know if it was scheduled or if it was some more damage, but it's all pretty spread out here. It's really only that front 2 and then the next sort of 4 are really the only major battles going on at the moment. Everyone else pretty spread, although, I speak too soon, Martin Bolgan's getting caught quite a lot here by Tom Vandervoort. It's about 6/10 now there to 7th place. That could be a battle that could develop in the coming laps, and it's quite a gap actually. And Junt is, as our cameraman points out, Junt is through. He's through into the lead, so we have a change of lead. David Junt back in the lead again of this Indy 500 as we change, and it'll be interesting to see if Timu tries to get it back or if they continue to try and work together, because it's working so far, as we said, although it's down to 2.6 now. So they've just taken a big chunk of the guys behind, so maybe they're starting to work together as well. So all these different temporary alliances, as we said, all these little tactics happening between drivers. It's very fascinating to watch. Not something you see elsewhere. But Vandervoort, as I was saying before, is right over Martin Bolgan at the moment. He's all over the back of him, caught about 6/10 in a lap there. It's obviously the slipstream effect helping there. I think Dave Junt again timing again. And Martin there under big pressure from Vandervoort, and that could be a change for position there. It'd be 7th there, and that could change very, very soon, as it's still close to the front and still that third place battle going on. So hang on, who's that? Oh, hang on, who's that? Someone has gone off. I don't know who that was. I think it was a late car, wasn't it?
I think that's Richards.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say, I thought it was one of the leading guys. Remember, yeah, it is. He's lost his front wing and his rear wing again. So poor old Matt Richards in the walls once more from, he was up near the front on the quali. So yeah, very, very unfortunate for Matt. He's had a very unfortunate race here today. But again, as we said, he's struggling on. And if you keep doing that, you can benefit really big time later on in the race. And actually, Mike Bell's actually still going, by the way. He's 3 laps down in 20th. He's still struggling on as well.
Good to see. Obviously, you can have these mishaps early in the race, but these drivers, they're made of sterner stuff. As we've got potentially some drama just here from cameraman extraordinaire, potentially that Richards and Horrell were occupying perhaps almost physically the same bit of tarmac when all that was going on. But anyway, What's important now is that Horrell actually has been able to break away ever so slightly, only by a few car lengths, from James Johnson behind. And we're still having time issues with David Yunt every now and then. He's now supposedly dropped down to P8, but he hops back up. But he is indeed, this being David Yunt, still indeed in the lead. But Teemu Toika very close going through turn 3. Toika, he's gone off in between turns 3 and 4. I think he was so close, not sure where he thought the car was. So he's kind of on the the pit lane entry, and he's now been able to safely rejoin. The net effect, though, is David Yunt now leads by a healthy margin. We'll see what the actual gap is when Teemu crosses the line. 2.2 seconds, and now Teemu is going to fall right into the grasp of this battling pack over third place. In third place now is James Johnson, who's been able to reel a load of time in. Ben Horrell, though, he's still all over the rear wing of that Indy car. And he's now going to be having potentially a look at Teemu Toika in a moment. Teemu, of course, regaining the momentum, recovering the speed that he lost just a few moments ago. Meanwhile, Yunt, he is now a race leader by 2.7 seconds. He's just about to catch some lap cars, and I'm sure he's going to perhaps try and work with those guys to build that gap even further.
Oh, sorry, his head. There you go, yeah, Toika apparently, cameraman extraordinaire points out again, Toika apparently tagged the back of Yunt, and that's what caused him to go low. That actually makes sense there with that corner. As there you go, that would explain exactly what happened to Teemu. So unfortunate for Teemu, just getting a bit too close, a bit too aggressive perhaps there, but you know, it's very easy to do with the momentum he carries, as we were saying before, in the slipstream. It can be very powerful and can catch you off guard if you just lose that concentration for just a split second. And that's all it can take. As I was saying about the battle before, between Martin Bolgan and Tom Vandervoort. Vandervoort now in 7th, he's been able to get past Martin.
Yeah, sorry to
holding our P2, yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt there, but goodness gracious me, Horrell, he's just gone from 6th to, well, it would be 3rd once the timing stuff. No, it is to 2nd. I beg your pardon. He's gone from 6th to 2nd in one corner with a lovely move up the inside. Toika now giving chase behind him, and we now have, I believe that's Kovanainen, in between these guys. Oh no, he's moved aside, very gentlemanly of him too. Got Sam Jones ahead, of course. Horrell and Jones, last time they came around, there was a little bit of a moment. Hopefully that won't happen this time around. No, indeed, it does not. Jones moving aside there, but goodness gracious me, Horrell now finds himself on the 2nd step of the podium, but Teemu Toika is very hot, very close in pursuit. He does not want that to happen. Meanwhile, our leader, David Yunt, he's got the gap up to 3 seconds now between himself and 2nd place. And as these drivers are now getting themselves well into the rhythm, as we suspected they would do once they got a good bit of running going, this is really going to be a strong position for Yunt to control. Gap up to 3.4 as they cross the start-finish. This is a strong position to have at this stage of the race. If there's a caution, of course, it could all be wiped out, but at this point in time, it's going to be a great place because he doesn't have to worry about fighting or defending any of his rivals.
Indeed, that's a very good point to make, and they're just lapping Paul Watkins again there, who was up at the front, but just been involved in some really unlucky instances, wrong place, wrong time. And he's dropped down to 20th, I believe, is now, but that battle's still going strong as they go through the final corner here. Ben Horrell still got it over Teemu Toika for the time being. They've actually got a little gap back to James Johnson. Obviously, thanks to lap traffic, they've been able to just gap those two, so it's more of a battle now, but for 2nd and 3rd, and then 4th and 5th now. Sven de Vries all over the back of James, and that could change very soon. As he's looking for the outside, he's going to try to go high on here, but nope, doesn't look like he's going to make it. And Teemu's all over the back of Ben as well. He's going to go inside, he's got the inside look. But no, he's going to stick behind again. It's very close to the front here.
Going to be very vulnerable. I think Ben, he just took a little bit of a too shallow line there. He's actually pulling away, I'm surprised. Right, I'll retract everything I just thought there, because I thought he was going to be very vulnerable up that straight with the momentum lost. But no, that's not the case. But as these two are fighting, even though that slipstream is being a factor and they're pulling themselves along using that, Yunt is continually improving his gap to the cars behind. The gap was 3.9. As they cross the start-finish, it's up to 4 seconds. So this scrapping is definitely slowing them down. Unfortunately, of course, the drivers are not telepathic. They can't start speaking to one another and say, hey, let's team up here and try and wheel this guy in. But Yunt is doing absolutely everything right to try and win this race.
Indeed, that is very true. He's doing exactly what needs to be done, and he's doing it very, very well indeed. And as we said, I'm telepathic, so they won't be able to just instantly say, yeah, let's all work together right now. They'll have to maybe slowly figure it out that that's the best strategy. There's, one of them might be really, really, really wanting to get to the front of this little pack and might not want to play ball. And that's all it takes, is one person to not want to play ball and not want to do the drafting and do the team, the sort of later on more beneficial thing, and for them to not do it and to lose out big time as they have been doing. 3.7 now, so Yunt, although it has closed actually, I think a couple of tenths there, but he's still keeping it. That's good stuff to Yunt. He's all by himself too, so he's doing well considering he doesn't have the drafting effect. He's just on his own at the moment. Actually got a bit clear air, surprisingly, for the first time in a while, I'm sure. But that could be interesting to see if Ben Horrell and that can start to come back. Looks like Timu, he's looking every now and then, but I think he might be starting to be a bit team tactics here, trying to tag team their way back up to David John. Possibly this, although Sven looks like he's got back past James Johnson in the recent past, so it looks like Sven still very, very keen to pass these guys and get in front of us, the trio here at the moment.
Yeah, now, the thing to watch now is, in fact, going across the line, Timu and Ben Horrell, less than a tenth between them there. The thing to keep an eye on here is, even though these two are scrapping, they are doing it when one has a slipstream. So there'll be a situation of basically one pushing the other. As we were mentioning a second ago, David Young, he is in clean air. He's probably got about, I don't know, 10 seconds almost to the next car on the track. And of course, you're going to be running around, significantly so with a lack of slipstream. Just watching Toyka now for P3, he had a really good run through turn 3 there. And he was almost onto the rear wheel of Horrell as he went through there. So, goodness gracious me, Toyka very good through turn 3, it seems. Able to carry a bit more than his competitors around him. But it's going to be interesting to see, as it looks like Mike Bell is just rejoining from a pit stop. Right almost alongside Yunt there. It's going to be interesting to see if these guys are able to reel in Yunt at all. Gap's gone up to 4 seconds, so the answer so far is no. But if these guys just do take a moment and realise, hey, if we work together, we'll be able to catch this guy. They'll be able to make a serious inroads.
Indeed, that's a very good point to make there as well. And actually, I just noticed, this is just now looking at the pits, Matt Richards is actually retired. Looks like he's got major damage to the right side of his car, so I suspect it was a big impact with the wall that had that happen. So he's out of the race.
Toyka just passing
as well.
Yeah, Toyka now into P2. He had a nice exit from turn 4, slipstream, slingshot himself really nicely up on the side of Ben Horrell. Now Sven de Vries, he's seizing the opportunity, he's seen the chance, and he is now up into P3. So Horrell from 2nd to 4th in just a few corners. As I think, Horrell just tagged the wall there, he's lost some momentum. He'll be dropping down to P5 in a moment once James Johnson passes by. It's the moment, actually, you never know, actually, it could be a good thing just to take a step. You're in P2, you've been absorbing the pressure. With the guys being so close together, if you're able to just back off a minute, gather your thoughts and get ready for a second attack, that could always be a powerful thing to have. As our group of 4 here, just passing some back markers, we have another retirement from Pavel Lovnoski. He's out of it. Now got Horrell passing James Johnson. He's up into P4 again, so perhaps he's had enough. He's had his breather, and he is carrying on.
Indeed, and actually Paul Watkins as well is retired, so actually had a whole bunch of retirements there in the last few laps, but no caution. Obviously they were just sort of lonesome incidents, didn't require a caution, so we're able to keep going, but just the attrition rate's still high. I mean, we'll be down to, I'd say we're nearly down to 20 cars now, so just a massive attrition rate here at the Indy 500, but they're still going. Here's Bell for 2nd, Yunt 4.5 ahead, so he's keeping that gap. As we said, considering for a lot of the time now he's on his own, that's a really good thing to do and a real credit to him. He's obviously got a lot of pace in that car right now. He's really got a comfortable feel for it, because generally you need drafting to stay ahead of this, but he's keeping ahead. And credit to him, and Timo now under big pressure from Sven. There's actually a bit of a gap now back to Ben Horrell there in 4th. He's still got James Johnson right behind him. There's a bit of a gap back to Van Voort, who's got Clont actually right behind him in 7th, and then Martin Baldwin's actually pitting both, so we'll just come out of the pits there in 8th, so that's probably a scheduled stop, no doubt. And that's a big gap, about 12 seconds or was, down to Fran Lopez there in 9th. Now 8th is Martin Pitts, and he was our last.
Spin! Got smoke!
Oh.
That's De Vries! De Vries is gone! He's dropped it at turn 3!
Oh, and he's lost the front wing too, so disaster for Sven. It's an absolute disaster for him. He's right up there fighting for it, and he's just lost it, binned it there, looks like a turn 3, and straight to pit lane he goes. And that's poor Sven there. He's going to drop well down the field, probably a lap or 2 at least. So poor Sven de Vries there, bad time to lose it, but he's now out of that battle. As we said, I mean, just because he's gone now, could be a factor later on if we can just keep it going and keep plugging along, as we've said before.
Absolutely. Now, a factor that we may get an opportunity to consider now that the drivers have been driving for a good stint here in race conditions is strategy. We've seen a few drivers pit in as we've been commentating here for fuel, potentially for some tyres as well. Strategy, I'm sure, will play a part. Now, I've had a word from a trustworthy source that Horrell at the moment, he's saving fuel. So it could be a case of Ben's now, okay, I've got my car, it's in a really good position, let's save some fuel, let potentially cars run on ahead, let's save some fuel and save it for the end, or potentially for a shorter pit stop. We don't know how far these cars will go into the race. The likes of Yunt and Toyka and Johnson and Horrell, these guys, they've all pitted, but under that caution we had earlier. So we don't really know exactly what their, if your true race strategies will be. So it's definitely going to be interesting to keep an eye on how this leading group works the strategy front. I mentioned earlier before we started racing here that the drivers do have. Because in fact, Horrell pits.
And David John as well, their leader, is in the pits right now. So here we go. They're starting to make a move right as we were talking about it. So good timing. Horrell in as well, as we just said. So the leaders coming in. They're starting to make the move, make the pit stops. So there you go. Obviously the fuel they're not very long. That was what, the 30 lap stint or so, and they're already in. So obviously the fuel doesn't last very long around here. But obviously fuel consumption not really a primary concern for IndyCars. It's all about pace. But there he is, David John in pit lane with Ben Horrell. So now Team Utuka inherits the race lead, at least temporarily, while David's in the pit lane. It'll be interesting to see if he can really benefit, maybe get some nice clean air and stay out of accidents while David is in pit lane. See if he pits now. Yep, here he goes. Team Utuka in as well. James Johnson as well. And I'm interested to see if Van der Voort also follows suit. And nope, Van der Voort's still going. So there you go, Team Utuka in as well, and James Johnson. One of their leading guys in, and Minot Plant as well. So it looks like this is the time where everyone's fuel's starting to run low. They're deciding they better come in, as the safety car hasn't occurred like sometimes you wait for.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's how convenient, almost as if it was all telepathic there. But no, interesting. So the cars went for about 30 or so laps. That might be just the optimum amount of fuel. We don't know. But the strategy, it's starting to pan out. Now it's interesting that our leader, as it was, David Yunt, he pitted along with, or at the same time as Ben Horrell. Now if these guys were thinking strategically, they might go, hey, hang on, we could slipstream each other and try and make a big old gap. But there we go. But our new race leader, having all this go through, is Tom Van der Voort, who's now pitting in.
Yep.
So our race leader, once everything gets sorted out, will be David Yunt again. We have another retirement in the form of David Carter. He's now left the session. And once things settle down, I believe Johnson also pitted a moment ago. So it'll be Yunt from Johnson from Toyka, with Ben Horrell not all that far behind either. So our group has fragmented ever so slightly. So it's now going to be a real challenge of the driver putting in almost quali-style laps, perfect laps, getting momentum through every single corner, not making a single mistake. The car's going to be heavy with fuel. The tyres are going to be super hot and sticky though, and you'll be able to really, really attack and push.
Indeed, and actually I was just, as we were saying before, Josh Anderson, he might come back in this race. Looking at retirements, he'll be 19th when he gets back on the laps and gets ahead of the guys who've retired. So he's only 4 places away from points here. So as we said, just staying out, and suddenly you're right back in this as retirements occur. So 19 cars, by my count, if I'm correct, here, are still running. So we're now under half of the field already gone here. So it's been a massive attrition rate here at the Indy 500. But as we said, these cars are very fragile, even more so than NAS cars. They can't really take a beating very well. So it's not really much of a wonder that this kind of thing has happened, especially with 40 cars in the field. So Sven de Vries just passing Mike Bell. Thought it was a battle for there for a second. But as you said, they've fragmented a bit here in this field. But actually, Tom Van der Voort has jumped Ben Horrell, Sven de Vries, and Ormena Klomp was actually up there with him. So Van der Voort back up into 4th. He's been a big benefactor in these round of stops. So obviously he had maybe a little less damage. Maybe the others had a bit of suspension damage to deal with. But great start to Van der Voort as he's under big pressure now from Ben Horrell, who's looking down the inside into turn 3. He's going to make the move, looks like. Yep, makes the move stick there. Ben Horrell is now up into 4th place as he tries to chase down Tim Utuka again, who's not far behind James Johnson. And the lead looks like it's about as they go across the line. It was 5.5 last time round. It's 5.6 now. So David Johnson still just keeping that lead as everyone nearly, except for that battle for 4th, is sort of in clean air now. And actually Klon's not far behind that either. He might become a factor soon too. And still only 9 guys on the lead lap, which is Fran Lopez, the last guy on the lead lap in 9th. He's 39 seconds from the lead.
Now, an interesting thing to bear in mind, I found it highly unusual that Van der Voort pitted if you were a lap after the one of the cautions was thrown and the pit lane opened and pretty much everyone went in apart from him. I think that there's a counter strategy going on in that Van der Voort car, hence why he's been able to gain so much here. But Van der Voort and Horrell, they're currently fighting over P4 and P5. Van der Voort up the inside, and that looks like it'll probably be a side sealed and delivered move as they run down. Oh, no, a little bit of momentum loss, so Horrell maintains P4. But more importantly, these two are the closest in the top group who are right nose to tail to each other. So if they stop fighting and start working together, they'll be able to make some serious ground. Now Johnson and Toyka, they're in a similar position. They are pretty close. In fact, they are right on one another now at P2 and 3. If these guys work together and slipstream, they will be able to take time hand over fist out of David Yunt, who seems to be able to absolutely get that car absolutely hooked up around this 2.5 mile lap and be able to carry as much speed as those slipstream behind them. The gap now up to 6 seconds between Yunt and Toyka. So absolutely everything could change if cars all of a sudden put aside the differences, realise this is a long haul race, and let's get ourselves back into contention. Of course, if there's a caution, everything changes, everyone gets bunched up together. But with gaps of 6 or so seconds now between our respective pairs of Toyka and Johnson and Horrell and Van der Voort, everything could change if these guys work together and start to wheel in our leader, or reel in our leader, David Junt.
Indeed, that's a very, very, very true point there. Indeed, and actually, I've just noticed Tommy Conan looks like he's retired as well, so there's another retirement. Very high attrition Indy 500 here. As, yeah, it's 6.1. He's still just rowing it ever so slightly, as they're pretty even there, but isn't that amazing? He's pretty much on his own, and he's only passing the front car, and he's still keeping ahead, even though, at this point, it looks like Johnson and Timu are attempting to work together. They're not really passing, they're just nose to tail, as David Junt and Van der Voort were doing earlier on, and he's still keeping the gap, so this is amazing stuff from Young. He's obviously got that car really well hooked up, and he really is able to be comfortable with that car and just push it really hard all the time, so it's very good credit to him. And there's still that battle there for second, and there's a battle for fourth place still going on with Ben Horrell and Tom Van der Voort, but again, same thing. It looks like they're just still trying to work together here, trying to draft each other along, push each other along, and just keep it in for the long game. Think about the long game. And think about the big cars at the end. That's what they're sort of trying to think about here as they sort of settle down. It seems like all that little sprint, all that sort of the red mist almost at the start, just all that sprint race thinking is all sort of gone now, and it's more for the long run, more for the endurance run, which is good to see, because it is, one could say, an endurance race, nearly 3 hours with a lot of cautions. So they're going along very well, and they're really the only battles, and it's top 8 now only on the lead lap as Fran Lopez has dropped down. He's actually right in front of Timu. Yeah, it's Troy Brooks noticed as well. Yeah, I noticed just now, cameraman pointing out, like just saw at the end of it there as Toyka tagged the wall there, it looks like turn 3, and Fran Lopez is actually right amongst them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that 3 wide, that was very close between those guys. Heart in mouth stuff here for poor Timu Toyka, is right behind Fran Lopez, just desperately trying to get past it. And that is very, very close to a big accident there, as it looks like he might finally get done yet, but that was very close. I was very worried there for a moment that may get into a big accident. This is yeah. Lopez and Johnson, of course, both small, so yeah, it's an interesting point to make. But that was very interesting stuff there for Timu. Nearly a bit of an accident there, but he got away with it. He's still behind Johnson. He'll be able to use the old slipstream effect to get back to him, one would assume. And actually keep in mind that Ben Horrell and Tom Van der Voort have been able to catch right back up a bit here. It's about 5 seconds now between third and fourth. And David Junt, the man, still benefiting 7.4 seconds now. So he's just loving all this lapping, all this stuff up. Absolutely loving this free air and just still getting away from everyone behind, trying to be all tactical and draft each other along.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Junt is just going to be loving this. He's doing absolutely everything right. And of course, once you get into your rhythm, you can almost get this, if you will, tunnel vision going on, where you just, you know exactly when to turn, you know exactly when, if you do, lift the throttle to try and get the car to come around the corner. And he's absolutely nailing it. He's got that car absolutely hooked up. I mean, we mentioned this earlier. All the cars have identical setups. They're absolutely identical, other than things like steering lock, which is of course a driver preference. But the car is absolutely performing brilliantly. He's able to find just a little bit more speed, a little more time than anyone else on track right now. But of course, that could all change with just one moment of or a lapse of concentration. So I've been keeping an eye as all this has been going on, the fight between Van der Voort and Ben Horrell, as Timu Toyka sets the fastest lap of the race, as it so happens, the last time round. So these two have been incredibly close. Not so much fighting, but I think they're actually slowly starting to work together to try and get some consistent lap times in. Now, just referring to lap times last time around, they were actually ever so slightly hairline quicker than the cars ahead of them, apart from Toyka, who went a good chunk faster, almost 5/10 faster. But they're starting to reel in these cars, and as you have them catch up to traffic, that slipstream and bonus will only get larger. But the driver who's doing absolutely everything spot on, we've mentioned him several times, is David Junt. He's able just to hook that car up through every single one of these bends, and to just carry so much speed through that he's got an almost invisible car helping him to move his way through the field.
Indeed, that is very, very true indeed. And I've just actually noticed, I'm going to mention some of the latter guys here as things sort of calm down a bit up at the front, although actually I speak too soon, as the fourth place now is 3 of them involved. Menno Klont's actually been a tag on the back of that now as well. Oh no, he hasn't, sorry, that's one lap car, sorry, Fran Lopez. getting it wrong there, but he's only a lap down too, by the way. Only guy, 1 lap down. Next guy down is 2 laps down. That's Florian Engel. He's actually having a nice old battle with Tim Straub there for 10th place, so there's one a little further down to keep an eye on. And poor Jason Muscat there's right in the middle of that. And actually, here's another guy. He was last on the grid. He only got in because of people leaving and not being able to race after they qualified in the top 40. And he's in 14th, so he could get 2 points here, and it could only get better with retirements if he can stay in the clean air and not get in trouble. So credit to Jason Muscat, another guy like Ben Hull, another bloke right at the very back who's been up the field just thanks to staying out of trouble, keeping in clean air and keeping on the straight and narrow, which is always what you want to do, especially in these oval races. But yeah, they're still going along, and Sandro's there is 10 laps down, and we've mentioned him already, but Josh Anderson is still going. Credit to him, still trucking along there. He's in 20th now as he just passes by the DNF guys. He's going to be, eventually when he gets past everyone who's out of the race, he'll be 18th. So 18 left in the race now, a massive attrition rate. But that battle for 4th and 2nd still going on. But as we said already, looks like they might be a bit tactical here. They're just sort of tagging along, trying to catch up to Yunt, but 8 seconds now, 8.1. So whatever Yunt's doing is just working wonders for him. No matter what these guys do, they just cannot catch him up. Obviously, as that cohort just opens up even more, another 10th there, it's 8.2 now. So obviously, whatever he's doing is just working absolute wonders for him at the front as he just continues to just open that gap and really stretch it out in these sort of middle stages of the race.
Now, just as you were talking through there, slight moment there for Boyd Bryson as Horrell and Van der Voort just went by, just tagged the wall. Unfortunately, he's had to pit in, probably a little bit of damage to get fixed there. But no, as you were saying, these cars, they're all starting to work together now, and even then, Yunt is still pulling away. And when, of course, Yunt is coming across back markers here and there, he's benefiting from that slipstream to make him go even quicker. So, if things were to stay as they were, and strategies and everything were to work as we all hope they will, and everyone holds station, they will. It will be very hard for any of these guys really to catch. So, Yunt is doing a magnificent effort, really making his impression on this race. As I think we're on about 88 laps in or so. As Van der Voort just quickly to mention, he's now taken P4. Lovely move, gotten a much better exit through turn 1, carried that into turn 2, and he's almost pulled a couple car lengths now on Horrell. So a change for P4 and 5 there. Toyka and Johnson, they're still holding station, trying to lap round as quickly as they can. But they're no match for David Yunt right now, who's currently making his way through some traffic. And goodness gracious me, has quite a few cars. You've got Muscat involved there. You've got Engel. And I think that's Josh Anderson. I think he just tagged the wall there, perhaps a little harder than he really would have liked. Don't know if he would have damaged the car there, but Yunt, he's having to make his way through. We're not quite tiptoeing, but he wants to get through. There's Muscat. Oh, Muscat almost closed the door on him, in fact. Even though they're not racing for position, these backmarkers can race as hard as they like with our leaders. Yunt, he's got by that, though. He's got Bolgan to pass now, and he's just got so much more speed off the exit of turn 4 there. He's alongside, he probably doesn't even need a slipstream, he's passed by that yard of bricks.
Indeed, and it's down to 8.2 actually, that lead, so he was held up ever so slightly in that battle. Let's just have a look how it is now. 8 seconds, yeah, he lost about a second as he passed them, but you got to remember, of course, the guys behind him also go past that, and there's more of them, so that should be interesting to watch how they go passing all the guys there. As still that battle for 4th place going on, but Tom Van der Voort's still got it held. They're actually behind Mike Bell now, who's up in, where is he, 16th, so he's only 1 place outside the points. Again, multiple times I've said this now, just stay in the race, even if you have a big accident. He's 5 laps down, but he's 1 position away from points, and that's just from staying in the race and staying out of trouble in these sort of quieter stages in the middle stage of this race. As they're still leading, there he's just now 8 seconds, so he's holding it still, but they're about to come up on that, and actually Timmy Troika's just got a little gap. Stretched out a little bit over James Johnson. It's a little bit of a 4-second gap or so. Actually, nearly 5 seconds back to Van der Voort there, who's still holding station from Ben Horrell. And then Menno Klontz just behind. He's been just that little bit out ever since green, really. He's just been on his own, really. And likewise with Sven de Vries, he's had a very quiet race in these last sort of 20 laps. He's just been on his own, about 15 off Menno Klont, and the next guy's a lap down. So, very quiet race for Sven now as he's there in 7th. But still, going along in 7th place. Credit to him. As where is, there's still that, actually no, Engel's actually gapped Straub a bit there for that battle for 10th, so he's got a little bit of a gap now as they're getting caught in traffic again. Jason Muscat's still there, he's actually now in 13th now, so assumably someone's pitted or had damage as he goes up a place. Matt Mice gone up a place too. I wonder if someone's pitted perhaps or had some dramas, but that's one to keep an eye out as Boyd Bryson just exiting pit lane there. He's going to come out right amongst that sort of middle fight, but 8.1 still holding station. I don't think Timu and Co have caught up to that back marker trio or pack. Interesting to see how they handle it, because Yunt handled it pretty well, credit to him. He nearly got involved in a close ones there with Muscat and Co, but he got through, credit to him, so good on him to keeping that clean.
Absolutely, and Yeah, just to mention Mike Bell, of course, he was on the front row right at the start of the race. He's got up to that P15. He's 5 laps down, but he's going to be scoring a point, and that could be critical in our Masters Series as things tidy up towards the end of the year. So credit to him. He's pounding around, and he's got some point, or a point as it currently stands, in the bag. As we are coming around on lap 93 of 200, coming up almost to the halfway mark, 250 miles in. We've obviously seen a lot of carnage and drama so far, but at the same time we've had some really good stories about drivers being able to make their way through. We've had some drivers really sticking it out, wanting to bring the car home, which is exactly what we want to see. Perhaps we've not had some of the best racing we could have seen, but even having said that, we've got some great scraps to keep an eye on as we go into the second half of the race here. And as the drivers are spreading themselves out now, we've got clumps of drivers everywhere. David Yunt, he's just entered Sector 2, and he's got a good 10 or 15 seconds to the next car ahead of him. So he's got all the time in the world to run into, all the space as well. And the next leading group are just going into Sector 2 now. That's Toyka and Johnson. And last time round, actually, they matched Yunt perfectly, almost to the 1,000 on lap time there. So Yunt almost controlling the race at this point. He knows that he's got the lead by a healthy margin, and unless there's a caution, there's no real need to push any harder than he is doing now. So wise driving. We've seen him drive incredibly wisely in many races in the GPVWC this year and before, and he's doing it again now.
They're just doing all he needs to do, and that's what he do. He's just doing all he needs to do, not going too crazy, just doing the minimum amount that he needs to do, and just keeping it calm. Now it's up to 10 seconds, so he's really gained. So he's got a quarter of a lap on second place there. So it's very, very good job to him. Again, as we said, he's on his own. Toyka and Johnson seem to be trying to be tactical on these. Although Johnson looks like he's going to go down the inside. Yep, Johnson's got Toyka there down to turn 3, so he now moves up to second place. But even with these two being as tactical as they were being, he's still getting away. So, I mean, surely for these two, it's got to be a bit demoralising. They're trying their hearts out. They're trying to slipstream, trying to draft, trying everything they know, and he just keeps getting away. So it's got to be a bit demoralising for those two. And as we said before, still Vandervoort and Van Horrell battling it out there for that 4th place. And Menocont's still there on his own, having a bit of a quiet one. And same with Van der Vries there. And it's Fran Lopez who's up in 8th. Martin Bolgan just takes his pits. Obviously had a bit of a strategic pit stop there. And there's Flying Angle actually now. Rounds at the top 10 there. And who we got behind then? There's Tim Straub, 11. Mark Wicks, 12, having a good race. Jason Muscat, we've already mentioned, from 40th place up to 13th. Very good job to him. Florin Rea is 14th. And there's Mike Bell, who's now in the points. He's got a point at the moment. He's in 15th. He rounds at your points getters. And there's only 3 more cars still in the race after him. It's Boyd Bryson, Sam Jones, and then Joshua Anderson, our soldier, still struggling on. Credit to you, Josh. Keep it going, buddy. And he's there in now 8. Well, it says 19th because he hasn't quite been able to get back past Tommy. He's still 1 lap ahead of him, even though he DNF'd. But he's about past him soon. He'll be up in 18th. So great stuff to Josh, who's still struggling on in that race. As James Johnson and Timu very close. In fact, they've just had to pass Straub and Muscat there. So got close to the wall, I didn't notice there. James Johnson, but they got through fine. And still behind again, possibly trying to be strategic here. As Vandervoort's actually got about 3 or 4 tenths on Ben Hole, so he seems to be able to sort of open that up over the last few laps.
Yep, absolutely. I was also watching the scrap here for second place between Johnson and Toyka, and they just about were able to manoeuvre their way through that lap traffic and kept it out the wall, but it was mighty close. As Johnson, I think he had just a little bit of an oversteer moment going into turn 1 there, and Toyka was able to get right onto the back of him, but we saw earlier Toyka had a moment. Caution! We got a caution!
Oh! I wonder who is the cause? Oh, hang on, I see it. Someone there at the end of turn 2 has gone around. Looks like, I'm trying to pick who that is. Where is it?
Bolgan, I believe.
Bolgan, yeah, it's Bolgan. Oh, Bolgan was having a very nice race there. He was having some good battles. A solid race and was 11th spot. Was having a good time with things, and he's just, it looks like, from look at the time marks, he's gone off at turn 2, whacked the wall. I don't know if he'll keep going. We'll have to keep an eye on that. He's trying to keep it going. I don't know how it's going for him there.
I think he's just trying to get the car to face the right way. I mean, these cars set up for oval racing don't exactly have a turning circle on them. It's all about trying to scrub as little speed off as possible in the corners. Bolgan was in the pits a little while ago, so I wonder if he just was a little too eager to get out of the pit lane. Has put it in the wall, damaged the car, and obviously there's been the need to put the car out so he can recover safely and not cause any dramas. What this does do, though, is shake up the fight for the lead utterly, because all of a sudden we'll have our leading drivers all close together once again. David Yunt, absolute star, put a wonderful stunt in to get a 10-second gap. That is all but destroyed now. So Yunt, he's going to have to do it all again But you got James Johnson and Teemu Toika. They were matching him actually just before that caution period, lap for lap. So it might be that Junt was just conserving the car a bit, or it might have been that actually they were starting to get into their rhythm of their own and start to try and reel him in a bit. And of course, let's not forget we've got Ben Horrell and Tom Vandervoort. They were doing similar lap times. As actually, I believe they'll get to the halfway point as they cross the line this time round. So it's a plenty to keep an eye on, and of course we'll have all of our back markers as well shuffled around. So I'm just going to have to keep an eye on where our safety car is and which drivers, more importantly, are behind. No, it's straight away. Looks like we've got Junt straight behind, so we shouldn't have any issues with lapped cars. But I have a lap or two here where the cars potentially dive into pit lane, get some fuel on board. If they pit for tyres, they'll definitely reach the end. So might be just splash and dashes from here on in.
Indeed, yeah. I think that I may have noticed that earlier on, actually. I think with some of the stops, how short they were, I reckon that a couple of drivers were already doing that just to try and lessen their pit stops, knowing that there's probably a high likelihood of at least one more safety car, which has happened here. Right on the halfway mark as it happens, and let's see, where is... I'm just trying to see where Martin is. Is he still going? Looks like he is. Yep, still struggling around. Hopefully he can get that rear wing repaired and continue on his way. Don't want to lose another one as pits are now open, so let's watch here what happens here. David Jump, will he dive in? Will everyone else follow? Pretty much it's his, he'll dictate it, so if he goes in, you can bet your bottom dollar that probably everyone else in the lead lap will follow suit, and even possibly lapped cars, as is the way with oval racing, because you don't want to lose time to the lead car by not pitting when he does. Let's have a look here. Will he dive in? Watching him closely here behind the safety car.
He is indeed.
Yep,
Oh no, that's Engel. No, everyone is.
Yep,
So,
everyone, yep.
Now, the thing to keep in mind here, because we've had retirements, is how many cars are actually parked in their pit boxes, which might actually make it quite difficult for cars to get actually into their pit box and refuel. We'll have to keep an eye on how well some of these guys do, but Joshua Anderson, he's going through, so is Boyd Bryson. So once the leader comes back around and once they've got their pit stop done, those guys will be released. They'll be able to run around and get a lap back. So that's good stuff. But we've just got everyone filtering into the pit lane. This is definitely going to be the place to watch. Vandervoort, he's actually had to reverse in. And looks like Bell's doing something similar. Junt's out. Johnson's out. Toika is out as well. Looks like Junt maintains the provisional lead. Johnson is close behind. It looks like actually all the pit crews have done a fairly similar job. Ben Horrell, though, he's back up to fourth now as Vandervoort evidently he's gone for a longer stop, and now he's had to wait for cars to drive along the pit lane. So lap cars should get by. It should be Horrell, and in fact Clont, who's in fifth place, he's been able now to gain a position from Vandervoort. Vandervoort evidently putting a lot of fuel in the car, I'm sure, perhaps some fresh tyres as well, aiming to try and get as far into this race once this caution period finishes. So a bit of a shake-up there, and we've now got to wait for the field to recondense once more and have our lapped cars move along, so we will have our restart.
Indeed, so interesting to watch. There you go, yep. Sorry, my phone there going all alien on us, but there you go. Josh and Boyd now are being told to pass. If they go past the safety car, they'll charge around and try and catch on to the end. There's Junt out the front, as we said. James Johnson second. Teemu Toika is third. Then it's Ben Horrell. He gained quite nicely on his pit stops, went up a spot. And then Menno Clont has managed to jump Vandervoort as well. I suspect maybe Vandervoort, they're having to reverse in the pit lane, just costing those precious seconds that he lost those couple of spots. He's now down in sixth place. And you got Sven de Vries, he's our last of our lead lap guys. He's in seventh. And one lap down is Fran Lopez. He's got 2 laps over Tim Straub there, so he's in a nice little sort of area of his own at the moment, Fran Lopez. There's Mark Wicks as your 10th place man. He rounds out your top 10. There's Florian Engel, who's in 11th place. Jason Muscat now up in 12th, so he continues to move up. Muscat just staying out of trouble. Great to him, keep it up. And there's Florian Greer there at 13th. Mike Bell is 14th. He's gone up another spot. And Martin Bolgan comes out 15th after his damage, so he's still in the points, so credit to him. And Boyd Bryson there is 16th, Sam Jones 17th, and then rounding out the field, still going on, our soldier Josh Anderson is 18th now, so 18 left out of the 40 guys who started, so 22 retirements in the first half of this race. A big attrition rate here at the Indy 500, but as we said, we were always expecting it to be quite high, and it has definitely proven so with the early shenanigans. But as we said, again, like with Daytona, they got in the rhythm. They had a very nice stint of about probably 50 laps or more of green flag racing, which is good to see. So we're interested to see if they can get in the rhythm again and just keep it going like they were, and hopefully maybe if not get to the end, they get close to getting to the end, because it seems they certainly could at the laps they managed to do then in the green flag period.
Exactly, and I would expect next time around the safety car should be pitting in as our our lap drivers. Now caught back up to the back of the queue. Junt, he's weaving, he's trying to keep some tyre temperature in his car. Obviously just pitted in. Probably got some fresh boots, can't be sure. But this is going to be fascinating now because we have drivers who are all doing the same lap times, all right up together. And unless Yunt absolutely has been sandbagging some pace, I expect he won't be able to break away as he did. But I think the person to watch here will be Jason Muscat. He is 4th on the road behind the safety car. If he's able to stick with this leading group and have everyone else fragment, he might be able to potentially gain some time back on the car ahead. Now, he is a lap down to the next car, that being Florian Engel. But one to keep an eye on as we move through as the safety car. He's starting to pull away. Is this Yunt letting the safety car run away a bit? Perhaps he gets more opportunity to think. Oh, we got a car. A spin at the back.
Oh dear, who've we? Oh yep, Sam Johnson, and it's Josh Anderson again. Looks like he's lost his front wing. Poor Josh, just in the wars ever since the last sort of 50 laps or so. But poor old Josh again lost the front wing, but he'll pit. He'll be able to keep going. Thankfully, looks like Sam didn't get any damage, so he'll keep going. As our safety car should be coming in here, should be back under green again. As there he goes into pit lane, he peels. Now it's David Junt has control of the field. He backs them up here. He'll probably do exactly what he's been doing, just get that really good restart really fast. So wait for Dave to give the signal here. There's green.
There we go.
Punch up. There you go. We go again here in Indianapolis here.
Johnson, he's had a good one, I think.
Look at how close they are. He's not done alright, although he's got a couple of tenths already there, Johnson. He's got a nice start. Actually, those top 3 have got a nice gap over Muscat there as he holds up everyone else behind. Interesting to see how Muscat goes, trying to keep with these blokes. Has obviously got some very nice pace. As off they go, Team Worker right behind David Junt. He's looking to get past us. Oh, we've got a crash at the back.
Oh, crash!
Yeah, crash at the back, yep. I know who that is. I'm trying to pick who that is. Engel again. Oh, actually, no, again. Was it him? Before, no, it was Bolgan, sorry, before.
Oh, big crash turn 3.
Ben Horrell. Oh, poor Ben Horrell's lost the left rear wheel.
Oh, and he's been collected. Oh, that's huge. That's going to be a caution again. That's purely great over. Tim Straub involved, Belvin involved in that. Oh, currently in P7, but I doubt for much longer. He's stuck there. I think he's desperately trying to get the car to move. It is moving just about, but I think he's missing that rear tyre. I think that's his race run. Oh, such a shame. After such a sterling drive, he's going to have to either get that car moved off the track or everyone's going to have to do a little dance to try and get around him. But such a shame.
There you go.
He's trying his hardest to get the car in, but he's going to go many laps down. Such a shame. We've got another car actually slow coming out the pit lane. So all sorts of dramas on the restart at the halfway point as our field passed by to put a lap on Horrell. Fair play to him. He's trying to get that car round, but heavy damage on that car.
Indeed, and actually, I just noticed Mike Bell as well has been in the wars again in 14th. He's got a lost front wing there, so poor Mike Bell as well, more in the wars after having a good period of just being able to continue moving up the field, not getting any trouble. And now, unfortunately, he's been involved as well. Straub has retired, so unfortunate for Straub, they're just being involved in that one. And Ben's still trying. Credit to Ben, he is trying, but I have a big hunch that's not going to happen with that. With no rear left, obviously, he's got no drive there in the rear left, and that just will not work, I don't think. But credit to him, he's trying. Hopefully he can at least try and limp that back to pit lane. But as we said, if he does somehow manage it, which I'll be surprised, but if he does, he'll fall many laps behind. But there you go, another big accident there just after the halfway point. So was that safety car just broke everyone up a bit? Everyone got a bit close. They suddenly were all in close proximity again. Maybe, the fact they were all on their own there for a while just sort of caught them off guard again at being close all of a sudden. Yep, there you go. Ben's finally escaped back to garage, so he's now out of the race. Poor Ben Horrell, after looking so good there, has had to retire out of that race after that crash. So unfortunate for him, but as the way of racing, as we've already said before, especially oval racing is especially harsh in this aspect. So I think it's been another 3 retirements from that restart.
Indeed.
So,
and actually, if I may mention, once it sorts itself out, our soldier, Joshua Anderson, would go up into 15 as things stand once he catches the laps. He's just been released, so he can run around to the back of the grid and gain another lap back. But such a shame for Horrell. What a superb drive. Cameraman extraordinaire Cam, he suspected it was a slight moment on cold tyres and just lost the back of the car and caused that big moment. But such a shame. He had such a good drive to that point. So Ben, tremendous commiserations. So definitely going to be one of my drivers of the day, though, irrespective.
Indeed, yeah. And so, as we said, Josh Anderson here, when everyone sorts themselves out and he gains laps back on everyone who's had crashes, he should be 15th. So look at that. As we said, after just absolute chaos, after an amazing start, and then all of the despair of being involved in those crashes, he will be back in the points. And so now, it is literally a case of, as long as you finish, you will get points, is now the case here at just past the halfway mark, about 107 laps in. So there you go. So if you can just finish now, just soldier through to the end, you will get at least a point if you can just survive. So that'll be the challenge to everyone. As we said, it's always going to be a race of survival, especially so now. It's actually another one to benefit again. Again, he started last, mind you, dead last on the grid. Got in thanks to people having to not be able to race because of work commitments and other stuff like that. He's now in 10th, Jason Muscat. He'll come up to 9th when he passes Ben Horrell there. So he's now, from 40th on the grid, he is 9th in this race. Again, same thing as Ben Horrell was doing, just staying out of trouble, staying in the clear, racing his own race, and look at what is done for him. So hopefully he can keep going and turn this into a result, because it'd be very, very good for him if he could make that happen.
Yeah, indeed. It's dear. This race is kind of it's kind of had it all almost. You know, we did wonder with 40 cars if they would all be able to finish, and obviously we've seen some fairly hefty accidents. But almost, even though it's only affected just a few cars, that's hit me quite hard, because it's such a shame. You know, Horrell was driving such a superb race there. But in the same light, Joshua Anderson, he's had all sorts of problems, and once he sorts himself out, he will be in a points-paying position. Just superb stuff, and again, just proof that if you continue to soldier around, you will be rewarded. So it looks like everyone who finishes will be getting at least a point. This will be a case of how many points that is. Everyone is packing themselves back up together. Next time round will be green. We'll have another restart for you in just a moment.
Indeed, and that's another restart. We'll see if Junk can do his usual very profitable restart and get that gap once again, like he seems to be able to do pretty much every time. Restart in, restart out. He seems to be very good at picking these restarts. Let's see if he can do it again. But yeah, it's him there in the lead, and it's James Johnson there in second, and Timmy Toyka's in third place. That's your podium at the moment. So here we go. Dave's about to pull the safety car into pit lane. As there he goes. David Junt now has control of the field in a moment. Now he does. So David Junt has control of the field. We wait for the signal for green. Go back under racing conditions here at Indianapolis 500 at lap 108. And we are go. Green. Here's green now as David Junt now takes them off. Look at them behind there. Very close behind. Going really 3 wide down there in turn 1. Jason Muscat once again is all in the midst of that. That could be interesting to see how that sorts itself out.
Toyka up the inside.
Indeed, yep. Toyka now up into second place there. Gets Johnson in turn 1 through all that almost madness, you could nearly say, into turn 1. As they fly through turn 2 down the back straight. Dave Junt still leads. He's got about a tenth of a second over Toyka, who's all over the back of him. He's going to go down the inside into turn 4. Is he going to get him? He's got him. Timmy Toyka now leads the race.
Josh Anderson has left the game. I don't know what that was, but he may have been disconnected or what that was. But drama. But Toyka, as we were saying just a moment ago, he now leads on lap 109. I believe this is 110 as they cross the line. We have a new leader. David Junt, he's got everything to do now, and we've got Johnson and Klont in very close proximity, and we've also got Van der Voort not too far away as well. So we've got a leading group of 4, all nose to tail, as we go around turn 2 here on lap 110.
Indeed, no. I just feel so bad for Josh. He's just done such a marvellous job to keep going, and just all the bad luck. You just got to feel for him there. So now 14 cars now in the race, and 6 cars on the lead lap, so massive attrition here. And still Fran Lopez is the only guy lapped down in 7th, so he's always on some really in terms of positions. He's just tagging along, having a good old grand time. Right. So yeah, Timmy Toyka, just the worst of luck. So not Timmy Toyka, sorry. Josh Anderson, sorry, wrong person. So,
too many dramas to speak of.
Yeah.
But
it's just so confusing.
But there
Ben
you are.
Hall. Hello there, Ben. How you doing, man? I'm so sorry to hear about this accident. You were doing so well, and just off it goes. So what exactly happened there with that accident?
I don't know really. I was a bit confused that I thought Jason was going to get sort of moved around. Because he was behind us, and I was directly behind Toyka and Johnson and Junt and that lot. So I thought he was going to let me through when the restart happened. So the first corner caught me by surprise when he didn't, and then desperately trying to get my way through, and I just lost on the inside. I wish I could blame somebody, but the only person I could blame was myself. So I can't be too disappointed at anybody. So.
Yeah, well, still great job for up to that point. You've done an amazing race to come from right in the back all out there. What was What did you see those first lap accidents? Of course, the first lap was just absolute chaos from what we were looking at here in the booth. What was your view of it?
Well, the first lap, actually my top speed on the first lap was 102 mile an hour. That was it before the caution came out.
Wow.
So yeah, what I saw in the first corner was lots of smoke, and I just ducked in through the sort of pit exit there. Got myself a penalty, so I surfed that under the next lap, and then went from there really. And I was really surprised. I just kept cutting through cars. It just seemed that they were just standing still almost, and I just kept going through them, and yeah, eventually worked my way up to, I think was it fourth I was at when I crashed?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
up there somewhere. And just as we quickly cut in, James Johnson's now taking the lead of the race now. He now leads from Team Utoika. Dave Jump's still there in third, Mericlon holding on in fourth, and then your two, fifth and sixth there, last two guys in the lead lap, Vandervoort and Sven still battling it out. But yeah, that was a massive accident there at turn one. I couldn't believe when I saw it. It was just absolute carnage there. But one thing I wanted to ask was the fuel. So was it with the pit stops, was it the fuel that kept making you pit there, or was it the tyres? Because the tyres we thought could last like 100 or so laps, so I don't think it was them, but it was the fuel that was making you pit every sort of 30 laps or so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how David did it, because I was saving fuel for most of my stint. When me and Van der Voo were sort of tailing each other, I think we were both saving fuel. I know I was, and we sort of kept swapping because my engine was overheating when I was behind him, so I'd try and overtake him and try and let him soak up some of the heat. But yeah, the tyres didn't hold on as well as I was expecting. Sort of once you got to sort of lap 25, they started to get a bit skittish, and you couldn't really go sort of 2-3 wide as easy. But yeah, the fuel was a limiting factor. I mean, if you put it up to anything more than sort of boost 4, you might as well say goodbye because you lose too much time, and you're not going to, the fuel you save is not enough to warrant it. So
There you go. Well, so as we thought, fuel was the problem. So there he goes. They're going too wide now down the straight, and James Johnson might get it back as we look at it now.
Yep, 2x2 into turn 1. I think Johnson will. I think everyone's just being sensible at this point. I know that more than likely, unless there's serious drama, it's going to be between this top 5, separated by a mere 3 seconds now. It's going to be between these guys for the race win. So I think they're all just going to focus on keeping them in and together. But Ben, I mean, tremendous. I mean, first of all, you're going to be one of my drivers of the day, irrespective, because more over than not, you had a proper endurance attitude where, okay, there's dramas going on, but let's just keep focused on my race and get on with it and try and score as well as possible. How did you find sort of racing wheel to wheel at such speed with so many drivers? Okay, admittedly, lap 1 had a bit of an impact on the number of drivers, but you had some great scraps over the next 100 or so laps with all sorts of drivers.
yeah, I mean, I got to thank the drivers that I was racing with. Firstly, notably James Johnson, Van der Voo, Toika. If I missed them out, I'm sorry, but they were really flat. I was putting some moves that I sort of do the move, and it's like I should have left a bit more room there. So they, it's as much as to them that I was left in the race so long. And also Ben Willis, actually, my gid had failed on lap 5, so I had no information at all. So yeah, Ben kept me up to date with everything, who was leading, what lap times were, who I was catching, what traffic was around. So massive thanks to him, and Tapper and Roy Schroeter on the channel as well, helping me out with that as well. So yeah, massive thanks to those guys.
Oh, well, good stuff. And yet again, the community of drivers here, the camaraderie excelling once again. We saw it in Super League just a few days ago, and we see it again today. So Ben, tremendous commiserations, but hold your head high. You did a supreme job, and I reckon you could easily have mixed it and got onto the podium if it wasn't for that slight mishap. So, I mean, huge congratulations first of all. Great drive, and we'll hopefully see you in the very near future out on the racetrack.
Yeah, thanks guys. Keep up the stream. I'm hearing it's really good from Ben as well. So keep it up, guys, and I'll see you at the end.
Good stuff.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Now we have another driver ready for interview, and it's another star of the race. And first of all, welcome and hello to Joshua Anderson. First of all, you are the embodiment of a true racer. Hang in there right until the very bitter end. if you'd carried on, I mean, I don't know if it was a disconnection or what, you would have had a point. Josh, talk us through your race. There was all sorts of dramas as Klont and Toyka are fighting over third place now.
Well, I just want to pick you up on something there. You said I would have a point. I wouldn't have actually got the points at all because I would have had to finish 90% of the race, which at the rate I was going, I wouldn't have done. So I wouldn't even have got the points in the end. But I was willing to go all the way to the end. I was going to go all the way to the 200 or whenever the lead I finished the 200. But in the end, after quite a lot of consideration and, you know, people trying to convince us otherwise, I thought, right, I'd be best off just to park it and, you know, stop anyone else's races being ruined, because I think I was probably holding quite a couple of people up, so I thought, right, well, that's probably the sensible thing to do. I wasn't going to score points anyway, so I may as well just, you know, call it a day.
Well, so that's first of all, a very noble and mature attitude, always thinking of other drivers and whatnot, and I must admit, I wasn't aware that there was a 90% rule regarding points. I have to look into what happened at Daytona with my good friend Mr. Philip Morby, but anyway, having said that, I mean, how was the race until that point, Josh? I mean, obviously there were some pretty big accidents early on. What did you see of it?
Well, the high point was me being 14th in the first couple of laps. I didn't expect that, or at least in the top 20. Definitely didn't expect that, but after that, it pretty much just went downhill, and I ended up crashing a couple of times. I managed to stay out of home as well, luckily. I've been told that I might have caused a crash in the race by getting loose and smashing into somebody. I don't think I did that, though, so that might be something that might have to be looked into, and if there are any relevant penalties, I'll be happy to take that if that happens to be the case. But aside from that, I think I relatively managed to keep out of people's way, and, well, I was hoping to become the first person in the R-Factory era to not score points from point scoring position, but what can you do?
Quite a record to hold, that's for sure, Josh. One thing I'll ask Ben before with the tyres. I mean, they said we were mentioning before how they could theoretically last, you know, over halfway through the race to probably be like 110 or so. How did they feel to you there on track doing, you know, 30 or 40 lap stints thanks to the fuel? Were they still feeling good at the end, or were they definitely waning somewhat?
I didn't get that. I only found out, I thought they could only last about 70 myself, but the tyres weren't an issue. I managed to keep them under control, although I didn't really lose any grip because of the wear. I think I pretty much managed to keep the tyre situation under control, yeah.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, as before, as Ben confirmed, fuel was the issue. So were you doing major fuel saving there, or during your stints, or were you just going hardcore?
I'll be honest, I was on boost 1 for the majority of it, just to try and keep within the allowed pace, but I think I managed to keep within that at the end. But again, as I said, it was my decision to, you know, pull over and end my race, so, you know, what can you do?
Yeah, well, exactly. As Chuggy said, I was second the notion, the very gentlemanly of you to take into consideration everyone else's races over your own. So very, very good job to you, Josh, and well done to last as long as you did. That was a very good effort indeed.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. As we've been talking to Josh there, a good scrap developing here for, well, all top 4 positions. James Johnson's continued to lead. Team Toyka had a lovely move a few laps ago into turn 3, passing Menno Klont. But David Junt, our leader for such a long time, he's slipped down to 4th at the moment. I think he's just keeping a watching brief. I found it interesting, actually, something that Ben Horrell mentioned just a short time ago, to do with saving fuel. Now, it's interesting how David was able to do that incredibly lightning quick pace for so long. Given that obviously we've got a fixed setup, everyone's driving an identical car. So evidently he's found a good way, perhaps a little bit of lift and coast, who knows, just to keep the car obviously saving its fuel, but also keeping the high speed as well. So we have to keep an eye. He might be doing a little bit of that now, perhaps saving some fuel for a late charge later on. But we now have Toyka. He's got into the lead after a great exit from turn 4, but Johnson keeps the inside line, takes it straight back.
Straight back down the inside, and they're side by side now. He has the high line now, Timu here. We'll see how he goes. He'll hang it out dry around the outside there. He's still there. He might try and get him down the straight here, and the other's behind trying to slipstream through. He might go 3 wide once more here. Or not quite, but there you go. Timu's going to now look to the inside. Nope, James Johnson's gone up of the gap, but he keeps that lead. Timu right behind them, Menno Klont, and then there's David Junt there in 4th. Still hanging on, as we said, possibly just deciding he'll hang back now. Just be in the right place, right time, just hang on to this battle, and be there at the end when it counts in that last few laps when you really make your move. As team, speaking of making moves, his team Toyka making his down on James Johnson to turn 1. He's on the inside, and surely he's got it done and signed. Oh, nearly contact there, that's very close. Oh, and again.
Oh, Timu. Oh, he's lost momentum there. That would be him shuffled down to 4th, potentially even further back. He might lose touch of that little lead there. That was a little dicey. A little dicey. Ooh. Thankfully, everyone's still running.
Indeed, yeah, it's hunting him out at the moment. That was very close, but he's still there and he's still tagging on. He's actually right in the range of David there, so he could have been much worse. I thought for a second he would lose that completely, and that was just the end of his race. But he's kept it going. So credit to Timu again to hold on to that. He's done some good racing here so far. And don't count out Tom van der Voort and Sven de Vries, behind. They are only about 3 or 4 seconds off the lead, and they're still working together trying to draft along. So don't count them out of this race. They're still there within range. They could have a big factor if anything happens there at those front 4 drivers.
Absolutely. First of all, credit to Sven de Vries. Obviously, we saw him lose his front wing a little while ago, but he is still going, and he's able to, well, he's been able to make all that time back. He's driven a very, very good, consistent race since that little momentary lapse. We now actually have everyone back together. There was a little bit of a gap, perhaps a few car lengths here and there, but Junt right all over the rear wing of Klont. Toyka just behind as well, as we're about to cross the line to start lap for 129 of 200. Johnson continues to lead, but Klont now up into second, and he's looking racy in my eyes. I think he might want to have a lead of a lap or two.
Indeed, it does look like that, doesn't he? He's very, very keen to have a go. And to be fair, I don't think he's led a lap yet in this race. He's been sort of in the midfield, sort of bottom end of the 10. So he's probably thinking it's about time I lead this. Thank you, James. You've led for long enough, and he wants to take this position by the looks of it quite keen indeed. And again, guys behind him, 4th and 5th, still hanging on. They're about 3.7 off the lead now, as these guys at the front, all covered by 4 tenths between the top 4. And unbelievable after this long of a race. 129, about to be 130 laps in. And this is about close to the top 3. Very close indeed. Klont looking keen, but no, doesn't go for it. Again, just hanging on. Same with Junt. Unbelievably close, considering that we're, what, a good hour or so, or more, hour and a half maybe, into this race. Long way into this race. What's the time here? Yeah, long way into this race. So credit to these guys. 2 hour and a half or so into this race, and there's still 2-3 tenths between them all. Look at them all there. Look, Timu looking. He's got contact actually. So Timu now up to second place, as they were very close down that back straight there. Junt's still holding on to 4th. He's still just holding stations, watching it careful over this battle, making sure he's in the right place at the right time. Doesn't want to get involved in any big accidents. Look at him there, just all over the track as he's desperately trying to defend James Johnson. Timu Klont looking very, very keen to have a look, but he doesn't have a look. Just goes back in behind as they all slipstream each other to try and get as much pace as they can during this race.
Absolutely. Timu, he's done that a few times now into turn 3. Oh my goodness gracious me, what a good exit from turn 2. He's alongside, he's ahead. Wow, what a great exit through turn 2 there. But no, I was just about to say, he's got that line into turn 3 absolutely nailed. He's done several great moves into turn 3. And we saw earlier, in fact, a little moment he had when he had so much pace on the car ahead, he almost spun out. So Timu loving turn 3. That's evidently his main overtaking zone. There's a bit of debris, actually, on the exit of turn 4 there. I think that's just a rear wing.
Yeah, it's actually, I'm just looking at it now, it's poor old Jason Muscat. He had such a great race in 9th. Hang on, let me look here. He's lost his rear wing at least. I can't tell if he's lost anything else, but poor old Jason Muscat's had a great race, and he's just binned it into the pit entry. I'm not sure if he had any contact with maybe Greer there. I think he was battling with him, but I'm not sure if it was just a spin on his own. But poor old Jason Muscat's had a great race, and it's all come falling apart here, so hopefully he can keep it going, but you never know at this point. I can't actually tell if his rear wheel's been lost or anything like that, but poor old Jason Muscat, hopefully he'll keep it going because he's had a great run so far. But there you go, Inson's again independent here at lap 132.
Yeah, Toyka now leads as we cross the line to complete 132 onto 133. Johnson in close pursuit. More tantalising even yet is that Van der Voort and Sven de Vries are catching these guys. They catched at 0.2 of a second on the last lap alone. We'll have to keep an eye on what they do on this lap, but this fighting in between these leading 4, bringing another 2 cars well and truly into the mix. In fact, they're getting closer, visibly closer along this back straight. So good stuff. We're going to have a good 6-way fight before long for the top 3, well, top 6 back positions, let's be frank. Johnson very close under the rear wing through turn 4. Toyka, he's running that car utterly to the wall. I think Johnson's going to have a bit of a run, potentially courtesy slipstream, but if Toyka goes across, covers that inside. No way through there, crossing the line. Still the same leading 4 as they were last times around. Junt, much tighter line down through turn 1. And interestingly, Van der Voort and de Vries, they did exactly the same lap times as our leading quartet. So, the gap not coming down that time around, but look at Junt. Look at Junt, he had a little peek. Not having to check his mirror. Oh, is he going to have a move up the inside? No, not this time round. Toyka going through turn 3, seems to like it. Ooh, a little touch of the apron. He's in the wall. he's going to have lost momentum. Johnson smells an opportunity. He's up the inside. Can he get it done into turn 4? Yes, he can. He will be passed before the start finish. Meanwhile, we've got Clont and Yunt. They are having a fight. Clont well and truly up the rear wing of Johnson. He wants to have a real through into second place, and it's a signed deal. Toyka shuffles down to third.
Indeed. There you go, and as our cameraman extraordinaire points out, looks like John's almost rolling out of roll just to stay behind these guys. So clearly John's figuring right now that the best move to be right now is at the back of this pack and just hang on the end. Don't get involved in all the switching and changing that's going on there, and just hang on the end and be there at the right time at the end of the race. There's still, you know, Tom Van Voort and that still hanging on. It's pretty much stayed held station for the last half dozen laps, although it did just gain a couple of tenths there. Now 2.5 seconds off the lead. This may become a 6-way fight between everyone who's left on the lead lap, which will be absolutely fascinating to watch. You know, races they climb over each other. And all those as well as one other battle going for position at the moment throughout the field. That's Boyd Bryson in 10th and Mike Bell. They're fighting for 10th spot there. 6 laps off the pace at the moment, but they're having a nice old scrap there for 10th, and that's about the only other fight for position at the moment, as Jason Muscat appears to be heading out of pit lane, now down to 13th, 9 laps off the pace, as Sam Jones getting in the lead cars there as he gets lapped again. So we're flying past, but still James Johnson leads here from
Toyka! Toyka heavily into the wall, that's him! He's gone.
Yep.
Oh.
Big crash. No, he's hit him!
That's
huge!
That's caution.
No. Oh, Van der Voort. Oh, that is
that is huge.
Crash.
Turn 3. Oh, Toyka's favourite corner. He just hit that one too hard and he was spat out. And he was unfortunate just to catch people there. I don't know who he caught and who. Oh, it was De Voort. De Voort is done.
Yeah.
He's got both his. He's got both his front rear wheels, I should say. He might be able to get it turned around and potentially into the pit lane. He's going to lose a chunk of time, though. Sven de Vries, though, he's now going to get in amongst the mix in P4. So we've lost, unfortunately, 2 cars from what could have been a 6-car scrap. But our front 4 are back nose to tail once again. We've got James Johnson, who leads from Menno Clont, David Yunt, and Sven de Vries now after that. Just momentary lapse from Toyka. Toyka's still running around. I'm sure he'll pit in to get that damage fixed. He's about to pass the safety car by the look of it, waiting to pick up the leaders. Goodness gracious me, that just came from absolutely nowhere, and unfortunately Van der Voort, wrong place, wrong time. Hopefully the Simcraft pit crew will be able to get that car fixed, new wings, new wheels, and he'll be able to get out there and continue his race.
Yeah, hopefully, although, you know, when the wheel comes off, I don't know if they'll actually be able to fix that. They may not be able to. I mean, wings are fine, but I don't know if he can fix the wheel, so he may have to retire. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but just wrong place, wrong time, as is the way.
The wheel is back.
Simracing. Yep, there you go. Yep, it's back on. So, yep, bit of a delay getting the wheel on. Of course, it is getting a whole wheel on, so it takes time. But Van der Voort looks like he should be able to hopefully keep going. Maybe a long repair, but he'll keep going. But, just that was a huge impact. And how Sven de Vries didn't get involved in that, I do not know. Just so happened to be in the lucky place of being behind Van der Voort. He just took all of the impact. And old Sven de Vries just cruised through as he just took everything. But that was just a massive impact. Unbelievable stuff. As you said, just out of nowhere, through his favourite corner, just lost the rear end, it seemed. Off he went, and just big impact with that battle there with Sven and Tom Van der Voort. But back on the safety car conditions, we are again 139 laps through the race, and we'll just go quick through the order at the moment. It's James Johnson leading it from Menno Clont, David Yunt there in 3rd, and it's Sven de Vries, as we said, benefited big time from that little crash there. He's 4th now. Timo Toyka's pitted, he's 5th, although he's probably going to get taken by Fran Lopez, who will now go up to 5th, so another beneficiary. He's a lap down, but instead of running his own race for the last good sort of half the race or more, and he's going to come back up to 5th, assuming that Timo doesn't beat him out. So there's another man who's benefited big time from this crash. Van der Voort 7th at the moment, but again, he may drop more as he's getting repairs done. Mark Wicks is 8th, Florian Engel is 9th, Mike Bell 10th, he's gotten past Boyd Bryson now, he's down to 11th. Florian Gear is 12th there, and it's Jason Muscat still going after that big crash he had at the pit entry. He's 13th, and then the last of our runners at the moment is Sam Jones, still going along. He's in 14th now, so 14 runners left out of 40 cars just started, so that's 26 retirements in this race, a massive attrition rate in this Indy 500.
Yeah, we were expecting it to a degree. As we just saw, one subtle mistake at the speeds these guys are going, there's going to be a wall there, and as a result, there's going to be carnage. Interestingly, it looks like Bryson, he's pit in, which is fine.
Yeah, everyone's pitting in, yeah.
But he was almost cutting the corner a bit to make that happen. Bell's overtaken, I think, strictly speaking, under safety car. He might get called up on that. But number of cars pitting in, I did wonder, I should say, if people were going to do it. So Johnson in, Clont in, De Vries in, Junt in, and put frankly, these four are all on the lead lap. No one else is, so it's going to be between these guys for the race win, unless they all fall off, which I hope doesn't happen. So all the leaders are in, and we now have a group of cars behind the safety car, I believe, starting with, if I can find them, starting with Greer. So Junt misses pit box, we hear from Cameraman Extraordinaire. Thank you for that shout. He's followed by Jason Muscat. These two will be let go when the leaders rejoin. Johnson out nice and early, followed by Clon. Of course, all these guys will get nice and close. There's Van der Voort. He's recovering. He's in 7th now, though. 3 laps down.
Indeed, so he did lost 3 laps thanks to that crash, but that was a massive accident. I mean, credit to him to be able to get that car back into pit lane and actually get back out there, because that was a big impact. Indeed, so he's now 7th. He's just ahead of Mark Wicks, who's on the same lap, and it's a whole lap ahead to Timo Tuika, who's also just exiting pit lane there in 6th place after his crash. So he's still there, and he's still 6th place, but now 2 laps down, so he's quite a ways off. But again, as we said, if you can just finish now, you'll get points, assuming that, as Josh pointed out, there's the 90% rule, which now I think about it, I do remember, I believe is a rule in oval racing, possibly in cars too, as you seem to point out. So you can get points, it looks like, as long as you can go 90% of the race. So that'll be interesting to see if Sam Jones and maybe even Jason Muscat can actually go the 90% and then get counted for those points, as they're sort of getting quite a few laps down now with instance and so on. But as there you go, now they're being told to pass the safety car, Florin and Jason, as they go past now and go around to catch back up to the end of the pack as Mike Bell catches up now, as they get ready to go green probably in the next lap or 2. We should be back under green here and ready to go again, as this battle at front's been fascinating in the last stint, and hopefully it can go on to the end as we can have a real close fight for the win.
Absolutely. Now, I did wonder how on earth Junt was able to go full pelt for so long, and it does sound like he was lifting and coasting. More to keep himself out of the rear wing and gearbox of the car ahead, but wise strategy again. You know, there's no point going full throttle into the back of someone. You're just going to ruin your race. So let's lift and coast a bit, save some fuel, and then turn the engine up a bit later. It's wise driving. As our drivers are now just waiting for the 2 lapped cars to circulate back round. Everyone will be scoring points if they finish. If there is a 10% rule, as long as Jason Muscat doesn't drop another 6 laps, or Sam Jones, sorry, doesn't drop another 6 laps, he'll be getting some points. So basically the incentive is now finish within 10%, and you will be getting some Masters points, which are very valuable things indeed. We've got another 2 rounds after this, and we'll... well, okay, well, Cameraman Extraordinaire has got eyes on many screens, it seems. There's an actual IndyCar event going on right now. We've just heard that safety car has binned it, of all things. I've seen safety cars hit drivers, I've seen safety cars being hit by cars, but not drive into a wall itself, so there you go. News being made. We've had a high attrition rate in terms of drivers, they've had a high attrition rate in terms of their safety car. Anyway, 1 lap to green. We've got James Johnson, who'll be leading us around on lap 142 of 200. Not too far to go. We did have a good run of about 50 or so laps under normal racing conditions with no cautions, but we did see fuel was a factor. All these guys have pitted, so they should be able to go another 30 or so laps before they need to pit in again, and it will be a blast to the finish line.
Indeed, so we should have, hopefully, as we just said there, 1 more stop under green, although, as we know, with cautions, they can happen at any time, as we saw then. That one was just out of the blue, and then sudden safety car, thanks to just a small mistake. And suddenly we have another one, so there could be more stops for all we know. It depends on what people's strategies think of. You know, generally, most people take the caution and they get a pit stop. But we'll see. It all depends on what people are thinking and what is going through their minds at the moment. So interesting to watch as the race develops, as James Johnson now leads them off. He'll be the one to lead them away. Well, interesting to see how he does with the restarts here. If he'll be able to do the sort of David Junt nearly restart, just bolting it straight away. So it'll be interesting to see how he takes this. They're all bunched up, all ready to go here. They're just raring to go again under green. 142 laps in, will be 143 gone after the pits, after they cross the line here to go back under green. As Dave there pulls it off to the side, now under control of James Johnson, and wait for the call from Dave for green flag racing again. And we are going again. Green flag. Green flag as James Johnson leads them away back across the line once more with the Indy 500. Menocomp right behind them as they also spread out behind. Menocomp there. Oh, who's that diving to the inside there? That's Fran Lopez driving through Mark Wicks. Is very bold stuff there. He's, oh, there's contact back. Oh, big crash behind.
Bell!
Dan Jones.
Oh, Johnson,
and Bell.
Jones.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yep.
That might, yeah, that's definitely, they might be able to get away with that being a caution if the cars can get moving and stay off the track. Bell's lost his front right and his front wing. Jones has lost, he's lost his rear and front wing. Jones got back on track.
So
Oh,
Lopez is
Lopez.
round, yeah. He's just
Oh.
been having a quite old race. He's gone round, lost the front and rear wing. Rear wing. He's gone as well. Still under green, so haven't been called a caution. Looks like they're about to get out of the way.
No,
Hopefully-
Lopez. Ooh,
Oh,
nearly dropped it again. Van der Voort's
and Van der Voort
pitting.
in the pits. Yep. He obviously must have got involved too. I don't think he's got a rear wing, so
No,
he
I
also
think
got involved.
this is tactical. He
Or is
did
it?
this
Hang on.
before.
Yeah. Oh, he does. Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
he's got all his wheels and wings on his wagon, that's for sure. I think this is tactical, that he's running to a plan with fuel. Perhaps they've figured out an optimum strategy in terms of lap time with fuel to keep the car perhaps running in the highest spec as possible. I think we're going to have to keep an eye on Van der Voort. Okay, he's going to lose some time and he's 3 laps down as it is right now, but you never know. We've seen some dramas.
Hang on. Look at that. Apparently accident. So he must have just retired that. Or was that accidental, or what's happened there? It looks like he's retired it. So it looks like Van der Voort is out.
How
Wow,
unusual!
This is a massive development. Yeah, it didn't look like anything was wrong. So I don't know what's happened there, but he's left the game. Yeah. Wow. That's
Goodness.
shock development there. Van der Voort out of the race after looking so promising throughout until the accident just then he was involved in with who was it? I've forgotten. I'm afraid. My memory is a bit.
It was
all these
Jones and Bell.
accidents. Jones, yeah. Oh, I must have got involved. Must have had some kind of suspension damage maybe, and he's just decided that's it. Just park it. No point. I don't know. It's a very strange one. I would have thought he would have kept going because, as you can see, a lot of these cars are able to get repaired from lost wheels. So suspension damage isn't too hard. You would have thought. But interesting development there is he's now out of the race, down to 13 cars in this race. Massive attrition rate here at the Indy 500. Still got a good 54 laps to go. Still got a quarter of the race to go here. So plenty of time for stuff to go. There's the top 3, as we've been speaking about all this, they're all within 0.1 of a second right now. James Johnson leads a bit. Menno Kant and Sven de Vries are right behind. They're all very close indeed. And I'm interested to see how that goes. David Young is also just behind. He's about a second behind them, so he could still have something to say about this. And then it's Timo Troika's next. He's 2 laps off the pace in 5th. So just 4 people now on the lead lap. And it's going to be these 4 that we'll have to watch here, as they're the ones now who have this big battle for the lead. Good fun.
Absolutely, and these 3 literally line astern right now. If you want to put cigarette paper between them all, I don't think you really could. Absolutely nose to tail going through turn 1, about to go into turn 2. Johnson, he must be feeling pretty happy right now. He's got nothing but clear track pretty much the whole way around to the start finish as it happens. All he has to do now is just focus on putting the car where he wants it, just to hold the line. And unless he makes a mistake, it's going to be tricky to pass. We've seen plenty of overtaking opportunity. But that's mainly been off the back of a driver perhaps making a slight error, not getting a good entry or exit from one of these 4 banked turns. And again, nicely to the wall, he's not really offering anything. And unless there is an issue, I think he's going to be feeling and sat very pretty. Interestingly though, this group of 3, even though they're nose to tail, and potentially having a cheeky move here or there, they're pulling away from David Yunt. The gap now up to 1.5 as they went through the last timing line. So these 3, perhaps they're not fighting, perhaps they're working together. Perhaps the idea of working together has finally sunk in for some of these drivers as we go into turn 3 here on lap 48.
Indeed, and it looks like it does indeed. Like we've seen a lot of it, as we just said there, in the last, especially the last sort of 50 laps or so. A lot of drafting and trying to be all tactical, try and get away from drivers and catch up to drivers, and it definitely looks like that is the case. Because look at this, they could easily here have a look down into turn 1, but they're not. They're just sticking to the back and trying to get away from David Junt. They're obviously trying to use his tactics against him, but with 3 of them rather than just 1. Although they're going a bit defensive there, Clont maybe even having a look there at James Johnson. Down into turn 2, but it's gap now up to 1.6, nearly 1.7 seconds, so it is working at the moment. Only just, barely working, but it is working. So I don't know what David John's doing, but he's got that coverage up so well to be able to just about keep with them, and he's not got any toe at all, and they've got 3 guys going along. So they're doing very well indeed, and that's actually a bit of a scrap behind with Timo Troika there. He's scrapping with Jason Muscat there, and with he's down a lap, obviously a few laps down, but they're in a big pack there with Boyd Bryson as well. That's another pack back further on, with Fran Lopez also just ahead of that, but still going along, they're still tagging along, no real moves being made. As I said, I suspect it's them being tactical, they're just waiting for that time, because at this point, where you want to be about 2nd or 3rd on that last lap, so then you can slipstream past down this back straight into turn 3 on that last lap or 2. That's where you want to be. You just want to be in the right place at the right time, and I think that's what they're doing. They're just setting themselves up for that late in the race.
Yep, you're going to definitely be thinking about the tactical side now. Being brutally frank, we only have 13 or so cars running around at the moment, and we have seen, ever since we had the big start, and obviously quite a few cars finish because of damage as Troika pits, We haven't had that many cautions. When we have, it's just been a single momentary lapse of concentration. So I think these guys are just going to settle into the rhythm, not really fight. There's no point. You've still got to go and circulate another 50 or so times at this point. So, let's just get ourselves sorted out, just match what the driver ahead is doing, because that's all you need to do. Just by the nature of being slipstreaming so close like this, you are going to pull away, and they've now got that gap up to David Yunt up to 2 seconds. So, as you rightly say, David doing a great job to keep the gap just to that, but evidently these guys, they're going to start thinking towards the end, start to think, okay, what do we need to do to take the win as they cross the line for final time?
Indeed, and I'm just looking through here for battle. I think I saw, the two Florins in 8th and 9th. They're 6 laps down, but they're actually pretty close together. That's a bit of a fight developing there for 8th place. Florin ahead at the moment, but Gears catching quite fast. He's got a very good exit out of the last corner there. He might have a look down to turn 1, though he's not really close enough. Looks like he got a really good exit though, and he's not going to go for it just yet. But he's there, and he looks like there's a bit of a fight for 8th. That's about your only other fight for position anyway, other than that lead trio. So another one's looking out for is Jumps 1.8 now. If he's sort of hanging it just under 2 seconds, keeping it there. Between once more to be doing it on his own while they're all slipstreaming. He's still keeping it pretty fair dinks, and he's just closed in ever so slightly there now. It's pretty much 1.8 flat now behind. Yep, goes past Ingles, our cameraman extraordinaire, once more points out the eyes in the back of his head, old Cam does, as it goes through now into 8th place as the switch places. And that's a fight to keep an eye on. I'm sure Ingles will come back after that slipstream, so that's one that will develop throughout the race if this continues to be green.
Yeah, now I think there's an element of strategy going on, not in terms of pits and well, let's make have fresh tyres at the end of the race, or make sure we've got enough fuel. I think there's some engine mode work going on here. So interestingly, Sandovrisi just dropped a bit off. He's done the gap between himself and Clont, who's in second, now at 0.2 of a second. I reckon there's a little bit of lift and coast going on to save some fuel, turn the engine up, and try and jump the car ahead. Now, we saw David Yunt, he's been able to do some wonderfully consistent times, perhaps saving fuel, and thanks to James Shepherd here, he's actually tweeted in using the at GPVWC live hashtag user account. Feel free, if you've got anything to say, to tweet in as well. Just actually mentioning how easy it potentially is to actually save fuel just by tweaking some of your actual accelerator pedal settings through, like, say, the Logitech Profiler, so that when you lift, you don't lift as much, or when you put your foot down, it doesn't go down as quickly. Just little things, just to save that little bit of fuel, which can really make a difference if you do that a lot. So Endeavour now right on the back of Meadow Clont, just a slight love nudge on that wall on the exit of turn 2. Gap down to a 1/10 of a second now, so he's wheeled him in by 10. Just going into turn 2. Goodness gracious me, so much more speed than Clont there through turn 3. If he does that again through 4, he's going to have him set up here. Johnson, meanwhile, is going to have a nice view behind him of a scrapping pair of cars, as we've got some lap traffic to deal with now. They're all line astern again, though, as they cross the brickwork one more time to complete lap 156, 200.
Indeed, and that's one to watch, as we said there, as James just said. I mean, that's the thing, just tweaking the car, even just tweaking your driving style as well, with lifting, how much you lift, how little you lift, the lines you take, all that kind of stuff really contributes to how much fuel you can end up saving. Actually, Jason must get there.
Smoke! I could have sworn I saw some smoke then, just going into turn 3. That might have been my eyes.
Oh, yeah, it is. No, there is someone ahead is smoking. Who is that? I can't pick who that is, but
that's Broyd Bryson. That's Broyd Bryson.
Oh, no. Poor
I think his engine is actually overheating. This is something I worried about when he might have got the engine turned up a little bit too high. This is going to be interesting. So we've got our leaders catching up rapidly. With your engine turned up, you can overheat in free air. So looks like the smoke has stopped, and our leaders are going to pass him in a moment. David Yunt smells an opportunity. He's reeled in 8/10 all on the slide while all this has been going on. But engine overheating. Don't want to blow your engine this close to the end. You've made it through all the dramas early on. Make sure you finish now, Broyd.
Indeed, it's something that I actually completely forgot about. But that was something that was mentioned by a couple of people on the forum, was how high the temperatures were when you're running in free air. So that's something that the drivers had to manage. Clearly they managed it pretty well. I mean, it's the first time I've noticed engine smoke from any of the cars, so clearly they're managing it quite well. But you have to be careful.
Fran Lopez just had to be navigated
close
there.
this
haven't done it, though.
Grease right there. Yeah, they're all very close. And as you pointed out there, David Junt 9/10 off the lead now. He's really just been able to reel them in these last few laps as they've been trying to get through his lap traffic. And he's done a really good job to just really fly through lap traffic, not get too affected by it. So one to not keep an eye on, as always. We're going to count him out, and we certainly going to count him out now. And also, they're the lead lap guys. They're the 4 lead lap guys, all within 8/10, by the way. Quite incredible. And that's 3 laps down to Mark Wicks. He's your next man in 5th place. So these 4 all on their own, as we said, as long as it's green flag. In fact, even if there is a safety car, there's still going to be the main blokes to keep an eye on here. As we get in the closing stages of the race, 159 laps gone. So we're down to what? That's 41 laps to go. So we're in the closing stages now, and this is where you've got to start to think about being in that right place. As you can see, though, David Junt now on the back of Sven de Vries. He's back on this pack once more, and he's one to keep an eye on here in these last few laps, or last quarter of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're entering that final quarter now, and this is where I can see if there is a strategy or payoff. And look at that. David Junt, he's almost alongside Sven de Vries there on the exit of turn 4. I'm keeping an eye, though, on Menno Klont. Now, I don't know exactly what his strategy's been during the race. Obviously, lots of things going on, but he's made his way really nicely through the field. He's doing really good times, in fact. Both Johnson and Klont were in the 39s last time around. David Junt, though, 39.7. He was fastest by 2/10 there. So that's obviously going to be pretty handy. But no, keep an eye on these two. They've been lapping pretty consistently. We might get a situation of, okay, let's settle down here and crank up the teamwork. Now, if one driver runs on engine mode 1, uses all the fuel as they get very close to the wall there. About to lap Teemu Toika, who was a protagonist until just a few moments ago, when he had that moment into turn 3's wall. No, might be a situation of, okay, I'll turn my engine up, I'll save some fuel, and we'll swap around. If you can get that done in such a way, you might be able to have engine mode max as the race finishes. But anyway, they're about to come up and lap Mike Bell, and we've got all 4 nose to tail. Going down the back straight towards turn 3.
Indeed, look at that. Look at them all. That is right there. Your 4 right there. They're your lead lap cars. It's all that's left in the lead lap, all within 2/10 of each other. And we're 161 laps, about to be 162 laps in. It's unbelievable they're this close after this long. It's been a lot of racing, a lot of accidents, a lot of carnage, and they're still this close. It is unbelievable to see. And look at them, they're line astern. Poor James Johnson's having to do all the work here. I'm sure he's looking behind thinking, come on guys, could you just let somebody else do it? I've been doing this for the whole time since the safety cars come in. Could someone else just pass me? So a bit like they're doing obviously the basketball races, well, they do the same thing. But it's interesting to see as they're coming up on another lap of car once more. Who's that? It is Greer there, coming up on him as well. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate him. But still line astern, look at them all. They're really close, 4/10 between them all. And Menno Klont's still just hanging off the back, same as Sven. They're all just being very tactical, it seems. Not wanting to really take the lead and take the brunt of the punishment now. It's James Johnson's kind of being told to do that. It almost seems they've just sort of handed it to him and said, all right, James, it's your responsibility now. You take the lead, you hold it. We're not going to really want it at this point in time. Give us another 30 laps or so, and then we'll probably take it from it.
Yeah, it's as absurd as it sounds, you might get a point when you're leading the race at this point. Okay, you've got a long way to go yet. Okay, someone else leads some laps. It'd be the ultimate aim of any driver in any race. I want to be leading a lap. But at this point, it actually might make more tactical sense to let someone actually go by you and save some fuel potentially for the end. Now, fair play, and actually, James Johnson, he's been able to get a good few car links when he's just navigating some lap traffic there. 0.3 of a second, in fact, he's been able to work up there. But no, it could be a case of actually, it might make more tactical sense not to lead the race, as daft as that sounds. But Johnson, he's doing a good job. He's circulating really well. He's been nice and consistent, setting consistently quick times, and more importantly than that, he's obviously getting the laps done. We've got a way to go, but we're in our final quarter. The end is very much in sight, and just keep it on the right stuff. You'll be scoring some points now. I think that's pretty much a guarantee. Just, who will be finishing where in this top group of 4 will be more of the question.
Yep, indeed, as David Junt has actually gotten past Sven de Vries there for 3rd, so he's now on the podium. He's obviously decided, as you can see, they've got a gap now, these top 2. Obviously, David's decided, right, I've got to get past and I've got to get back up to these guys now. He can't hang around. Oh, phone going off again, sorry guys. I should actually turn that off, to be honest. But yeah, David, they're obviously realising now that he's got to go, because look at that, those two have actually gone up the road, but he's just keeping with them, but he's got to watch this. I mean, he saw this happen with him and Van der Voort right at the very start of the race. You do this now, they could really gallop away, so he's got to really push hard to get back up to them, because he definitely passed Sven there quite fast when he saw that gap. And Sven's actually dropped a bit further back, so he's trying to get back up to those top 2. and be back in that chase again at the end as we're about to come over for 166 laps gone. This 200 lap race. We're into the last. Oh, God, sorry guys. Being a right pain.
Well, everyone wants to know what's going on in the race, of course, because we've got a great scrap for first and second, and of course we've got David Jun. Evidently, he's turned his engine mode up. I'm pretty sure that Sven, he's dropped another couple of tenths, gap almost to 2 seconds now between himself and Jun, just saving some fuel. David Jun, he wants to get on with it. He wants to get caught up into this leading 3, perhaps then turn the engine down a bit, save some more fuel, and well, we're probably going to be getting to pit stop territory fairly shortly. About 30 laps seems to be the limit for the fuel, and it'll be, I'm sure, a splash and dash.
Sorry, I just noticed there, Jason Muscat's in the wall again. He's in 11th place, lost his front and rear wing, so he's in the wars once more. So poor Jason Muscat just having a bit of trouble here, keeping it going at the end after looking so strong for pretty much the entire race. So he's in the pits again, but he's still going there in 11th place, 10 laps off the pace. Just got to hope he doesn't fall under that 10% as Josh was talking about before. And I did notice, Florian Engel's got Boyd Bryson actually behind him. They're both on the same lap. They're pretty close together, so there's 2 guys to keep an eye on there in 9th and 10th place. Otherwise, though, again, as we said, so those top 3, and look at that, David Jun all over the back of them again, and look at that, Sven de Vries has just fallen off the back. I don't know how David's doing it, but he keeps doing that, just somehow on his own he's able to find that pace to catch these guys, despite the fact they're drafting, and theoretically should be faster, so I don't know how he's doing it, but he just keeps doing it all race. Unbelievable stuff. Look at Sven, he's 3.2 now, he just cannot, 3.6. 4 tenths he lost in that little half the lap. He just cannot do what David's been doing all race. It's unbelievable. He must have that car absolutely hooked up.
Well, I think it's also, it's technique now. I mean, this is the wonderful thing, especially with endurance races like this, where you've got the really true fine margins. Yes, okay, you might be able to drive the car really quickly, but can you do it consistently? Moreover, can you manage the more meta-level things, keeping your tyres really fresh for a long time? Managing the fuel so you can get the most out of the engine. As Johnson pits, so does Clon. Jans will take the lead. So, I was about to say, and here comes Sven de Vries as well. These 3 all matching each other. Here comes the fuel. This will probably get him to the end. We're on lap 169 of 200. And I'm sure these guys will be running to the end. Now the question will be, how far can Junt run with maximum fuel mode turn on and get enough fuel in the car to get himself to the end? He's halfway along the pit lane. Or back straight, I should say, as these guys are leading, or our next 3, I should say, are just leaving now. Johnson leaves, and I'm sure that Clont and de Vries will not be far away either. That is definitely a bit too quick for tyres, so that looks like a splash and dash. Fill the tanks up, get ready, this is going to be it.
Oh. Okay,
and Junt's good spot from cameraman extraordinaire, Mr. Cam. He's gone round again, so no, he wants to put a lap on these guys. He's going to put a lap on Muscat. He's put a lap on de Vries. But he hasn't got round in time to put a lap on Clont or Johnson. Clont, evidently, he's dropped good 3 or 4 seconds actually on Johnson.
Oh, who's that?
Stop.
Someone just went off in the wall.
Bryson!
Oh, it's Boyd Bryson, yeah. The front and rear wing have gone. I saw him going off in the wall there in the corner of my eyes. I was looking at James Johnson. So, poor Bryson in the walls even more. God, that car is an absolute wreck. In fact, look at the steering. That is really majorly bent steering. But he should be able to lift that back to pit lane and get it repaired and keep going, as everyone has been doing here. Yeah, cameraman extraordinaire pointing out that he just tapped the curb on the inside and that was enough. And I was actually, one thing that we should have mentioned earlier on with that is that I noticed that when I was doing quali and practice was just that, you just tap the curbs on the inside and they can be real killers to really unbalance your car and your pace throughout the track.
Yep, these cars obviously so fragile, so loaded, all the way through all of these corners. You just touch the curb, just the slightly flat tarmac on that little bit of the apron there, and just the car will lift and you'll get a little oversteer moment. There were questions about it as Bryson and I think that's Engel enter the pit lane. As Junt is still going. He's on a completely counter strategy, perhaps a very quick splash and dash at the end. Or has he been saving fuel all along and not going to pit again? Who knows? Anyway, we'll find out as the race progresses. But no, evidently, just a slight little miscalculation, put too much tyre on that apron, you just lose the balance of the car and round you go. Now, we've seen plenty of guys do that, but thankfully, Roy was able to collect the car and gather it in such a way that we didn't need another caution here. And these guys can continue on this pace, because this is going to be fascinating to see how on earth Clont, Johnson, and de Vries recover here. Because it seems like Junt, I'm just going to check on the lap times here, but Junt, he's doing quicker and quicker times. That last one round was a 39.9. Meanwhile, everyone else, 40.6, 40.9, 41.2. these are the laps where David Young, he's got a 33-second gap, admittedly pit stop time involved in that, but he's putting in those quick laps to try and leapfrog in a pit lane situation.
Well, indeed, and as they were saying before, as everyone interviewed so far has confirmed tyres. Yeah, the cameraman's going to do a lap on board then. You'll see a lap from David John as he crosses the start-finish line. You'll see the view that he's been seeing this whole race of the Indianapolis circuit. Quite a fabulous circuit, I will say so myself. But David John, and look at that, 34 seconds, he's still gaining. So it's interesting to note, as we said, I was going to say with the tyres, is that the tyres are not the defining factor, it is the fuel. So theoretically, if he keeps going, the tyres will keep holding. They're not going to just suddenly fall off the cliff like we were talking about before they weren't going to do. So if he can keep it going, he could theoretically keep this pace up and do that splash and dash and maybe gain bucket loads of time if this strategy he's doing really works out.
Absolutely, and I was just watching as we're riding on board here, you know, ever so fine, just millimetre movement on the wheel, hardly scrubbing any speed as he's turning into the corner. I mean, look how quickly he's catching Lopez here. It's almost like he's got a load of horsepower. Oh, goodness me. I'm sure he had that all under control, but wow, I was starting to hold on to my seat, blimey. Absolutely almost running into the wall, but yeah, very close. Now, what would be interesting, actually, you know, we can see Jan's tactics and technique and approach to some of these corners. If we could ride on board, let's say with Johnson, and just follow a lap here, and let's just see if there's any major differences, just as they approach through the corners. So here we are, we're on board with Johnson going into turn 4 here. You can see it's a little bit more perhaps movement on the wheel. That might just be a technique factor, but you can see the speed he's doing like, now on 230 miles an hour over the start finish there. Nice little bump actually where the brickwork turns in, and just a few little movements there, and there's the actual difference. When I was riding on board with the Yunt there just a second ago, he didn't drop between or below 220, and look at that, all the way down to 214, 213, going through turn 2 there. So that's where you're gaining the time, just little by little. That's where your lap time's gained and lost.
Indeed, it's very, very true. I noticed that then too. Just dropped a little bit more speed. And I mean, you look at it then, you just look at it and go, what's the difference? There is no difference, but there's just that ever so slight bit more of turning and a bit more wheel movement that he's doing, and that's enough to cost him, you know, a couple of tenths each sort of lap at least. And he's still gaining. It's now 34.8 now for David John. He's still pulling away. It's unbelievable to watch. And it's just all about technique and all about just using the car right, just little movement as possible on the wheel. You're able to really gain time, as it is unbelievable to watch. And he's now 35 seconds, so he just keeps gaining and he keeps going. I don't know how he's doing it, but he's managing to do this insane pace and not run out of fuel. Unbelievable stuff. Really, it's a bit of a masterclass, I think, here in oval racing, especially in these Indy cars. It's unbelievable stuff, and to be honest, he's actually not far off lapping these guys. So, I mean, it could all change, of course, with safety car. It could really throw a spanner in the works. It wouldn't take much, as we saw. I mean, just a slight little bit of concentration gone. That is it. You go in the wall, safety car conditions happen again, and it all gets thrown in the air once more.
Yunt pits.
As you can see, there he goes. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Yunt is in. So there we go. He finally breaks it. Can't go in anymore. Let's see what he comes out. But you'd think it'd be a quicker stop because he's got to do less fuel than the other guys. But we'll watch this with big interest, as I think Johnson is just going down the back straight now. He's got about 15 or 20 seconds or so now to his jump to get ahead of James Johnson.
So Yunt nicely into his pit box. Plenty of space. No need to reverse or any of that drama. Johnson, he's just about to turn into turn 4. This is going to be the trick. Yunt's now leaving his pit box. Of course, he has to follow the pit lane speed limit, but he's right at the end of the pit lane and he's out. Now, this will be the trick. Can he get up to speed, doing full race pace before Johnson catches? Johnson's crossed the start finish, going into turn 1 now. He might be able to just catch him in the back of screen in a moment, but Yunt, he's comfortably out in front. So there you go. That little sprint just has completely dominated the overlap, and Johnson is behind by almost half a straight, or a quarter of a length of the back straight there. God, that's got to be a masterclass in how to push at the right time, and brilliantly managed there from David Yunt. And rightfully, we saw that dominant gap he built up through that 50 lap or so phase we had earlier in the race. He's built that gap up again. The gap now between himself and James Johnson, it was 2.6, it's 2.4 now. So Johnson obviously fully fueled, turning the engine mode up. Can he catch? Can he be a factor? Because you never know. If he can catch, he might be able to turn the engine mode down a bit, follow through in the slipstream, and then make himself a presence in the last few laps.
Indeed. It'll all come down to those last few laps. It's what, 179 laps gone? Yep, that's right. 21 laps actually to go. So we're really getting in these last few laps now into this critical
Ooh.
phase of the race.
Sorry to just jump in there, but there was some debris just on entry for turn 4, and there's a car going into the pit. So it's just little bits of debris like that. You could potentially cause a puncture.
Yeah, it's Mike Bell in pit lane. Sorry to intervene again, but he's in pit lane, lost the rear wings. So poor Bell just can't seem to get out of the wars today. Just constantly losing wings and being in the wrong place, wrong time. I'd assume he probably just lost the rear end or something there with the amount of cars left. It's probably just a matter of an instant on his own. But poor old Mike Bell there, just at the front at the start of the day, down in 12, 14 laps off the pace at the moment. Just shows how much your day can turn around on race day.
Last lap around Johnson, quicker by a tenth, just about half a tenth actually if you're truly clinical, but gap not really moving. That's not enough. He needs a bit more. There's only 20 laps now to go. Oh, I think we're going to be in for a good finish here if Johnson's able to get the most out of that car and really spend the fuel efficiently.
Indeed, but I know, with David Johnson driving there before and with his driving threat, although he did just slightly, ever so slightly pull it in there, but I know, with his driving, I mean, it's going to have to take him either making a big mistake or lap car getting really in the way, I think, to stop him from winning this, or a caution, of course, happening, which again, as we've said already, can happen at any time at this point, as Fran Lopez actually has just been in the pits, just to notice that then as I was going through the field, so he's now at 2.4, it's opened up again, it's nearly 2.5 seconds as he crosses the line right about, just coming up on it now, bam, there we go, crosses the line, and James Johnson, 2.8, he's just slightly opened it, it's pretty much neck and neck really at the front, not really changing, that's about another 5 seconds back to Menno Clont there, and you've got about another full 15 back to Sven de Vries there, he's all on his own at the moment, got 3 laps ahead and about 20 seconds, or 15 seconds ahead of him. So he's got a lot of time between people now, and that seems to be the case at the moment. A lot of people just all big gaps between each other at this point, so it's all about being on your own race and just sort of getting in a nice rhythm and just getting all to the end and get as much pace as you can out of the car in his last 20 laps.
Yeah, absolutely, and it has been a masterclass, as you rightly say, just in strategy and management, because all Yunt needs to do here is match Johnson's times, because if he can't catch, he's going to be running the fuel out of the car equally to Johnson. All he has to do is basically manage the gap, just as he did earlier on when he built up that monstrous 10-second gap in free air earlier on. Evidently, he's just got the car and the equipment and the setup absolutely hooked up, and he's well on the way to a well-deserved drink of milk, but we won't say that yet because we've still got a number of laps to complete.
Indeed, no, just noticed Timu Toika there. Looks like I assume, was going to pit. He looks like he hit the walls. He lost his front wing, so that'll be a slightly longer stop than it was going to be. But then again, he's really only racing Fran Lopez. That'll be interesting to see if they have a nice little battle there, although Greer might come into that as well.
Good.
He's in 8th at the moment.
Yeah,
as that cameraman points out.
Yep, we've got 4 wide ahead of Yunt. This is probably not going to be the best of viewing. If you can navigate him quickly, though, I'm sure he'll be quite pleased, because it means his competitors also have to navigate this slot. So here we go, through turn 2. They've got a good little clump of cars. You've got 6th place, 5th place, 8th place. Oh my goodness me, round the outside of 3 cars, as casually as you do, for our current race leader, into turn 3. Yeah, just
a bit right across, yeah.
Yeah, a lovely little bit of improvisation just to avoid a potential drama. But he's round that, and he's now around Jones, and he's got a little bit of free air ahead of him, and I think that is Gaia, the next car he would be lapping.
Indeed it is, and he's now 1.9, so Jones, of course, Johnson has brought that in, of course, with the traffic, but he's about to be able to, he's actually just navigating now. I can't remember again, pointing out he's being caught just a tad there by Menno Clont. Again, he's in free air, he hasn't had to encounter these guys just yet, but he will any lap now. There he is there, just coming on straight there behind Johnson, so he'll be there to take them on soon as well. As Johnson's still got, he's got Lopez, Greer, he's got 3 of them ahead. This will be interesting to see how he negotiates them, although if he continues his masterclass-esque driving, I'm sure it won't be that much of a challenge for him, but I mean, commentators, because it has happened before, so let's see how he goes at the moment.
Across the start finish, dealing with Gaia there quite nicely. Now his next target, I believe, is Lopez as he goes through turn 1 quite magnificently. Johnson, the gap's actually, it's hovering around the 2.2 second mark now, so of course the advantage that Johnson has in this kind of situation is that everyone is all of a sudden aware that there are cars coming through to lap. Now, in normal blue flag conditions, they'll be jumping out the way, but at the same time, with less than 20 laps to go, I'm pretty sure that unless the 2 cars being lapped are fighting for an actual position, I'm pretty sure they would just consider, okay, let's just lift off for a second and let the leader through. But But no, he might be able to gain a bit of time. In fact, he has. The gap down to 1.7, so half a second taken out this lap, and it's 1.6, so even a little bit more. So I'll have a look on the actual lap times done last time around in just a moment as he crosses the line. And yeah, this could play a factor. You never know. Just kind of keep an eye on where Johnson is. He's actually right in this clump of cars, back of shot if you're following him right now. You never know, might be able to take some slipstream. Gap to 1.5. So if he's able to actually use these guys, you never know. He might be able to get them pepped up and moving at such a rate. He might be able to use them to catch back up. And if he does, that's a master stroke of strategy there to get the gap down. Gap to 1.3. So Johnson, evidently, he's either using a bit more fuel to try and catch up, or Junt's having to turn the engine down a bit. We've got a car in the pits. I think that's Jones. Junt catching up another back marker, which I believe is Wicks. And he goes into turn 2 on lap 188.
Indeed, so was at 12 to go. We're in the really latter stages here, about to be near the end. That was about another probably 10 minutes if that to go. So right in the latter stage of this one. And it's still at 1.2, so he's closed it again. So Johnson seems to be finding that little bit of pace at the moment, finding that consistency. He didn't seem to be able to find while Jump was going around after his stop. 0.9, look at this, here we go.
3/10 quicker last lap.
Yeah, so he's that pace.
Yeah, almost half a tenth in the first. Just waiting for the sector 3 times to come through.
7. Gone through, gone even closer. Here we go.
Get your popcorn, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're going to have a fun one here. Yunt going through turn 2. It's 0.5. I think there's traffic. Oh no! He's lost his wing! Oh my goodness!
Boy, Bryson there, he's tagging in the rear, and that is it. He's lost the wing. And that is it. Game over for David Junt.
He's gonna get that repaired, but he's gonna slip all the way back down to 4th. Johnson, he's now going to be thanking whichever deity he supports. He's up into the lead with a mere 10-11 laps to go. Christmas, everything has come at once.
Unbelievable. That was just, as you just saw, he barely, just a little touch there, just lost the concentration. Maybe you just saw Johnson in the back there, just looked away for a split second. That's all you need. And there it is. That just, after all that work, after a masterclass in driving. And there you go. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, looks like that car there, Bryce maybe thought he was going low there and then just went that way, and they just sort of both got in a confused sort of way there, and just in he went. So, and that's all it takes. And there you go. Unbelievable. Just after a masterclass of driving there, David Junt, just the critical moment, just gets him a little accident, and that's all it takes, and he drops to 4th. So he'll still get 4th at this rate, 3 laps back to Mark Wicks, so he's got plenty of time in hand there, but what could have been, that's all it takes is a little accident, and there you go, 4th place now for Junt.
Now, what's been interesting is that actually during the course of the race, I think every single driver has made, of course they will have made, some sort of mistake. Now, we had Timu, he dropped it, he lost his wing. Centervries, he dropped it, lost some wings. James Johnson has been the only driver, and I can't recall having a big moment where he's lost a wing or had an issue, and he's leading the race. Now, to be fair, that's the first mistake from David Junt, and it wasn't even really his mistake. That was just wrong place, wrong time. But classic motor racing, stay consistent, and it is consistency always which wins races and wins championships. James Johnson is looking very pretty with less than 10 laps to go to take a good victory here. So, hopefully the curse of the commentator won't strike again, but we've got some back markers in the imminent future. And, yeah, Johnson, he's got to be feeling pretty happy right now. Caution! We've got a car, it's Gaia! Turn exit to turn 3.
There you go, Gaia gone.
He's P7, and what on earth? Okay, no, that's just by my R factor not rendering properly. His rear wing was stuck on his tyre. No, he's lost his left rear. I think that's going to be him. And he's going to struggle to get back to the pits.
Yeah,
that's going to be him dropping a number of laps, so unfortunate for Florian there. But all of a sudden, gaps negated. We're going to have a grandstand finish. Oh my goodness me, with so few laps. Oh my goodness.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. They've raced to the flag. So just hearing from cameraman extraordinaire, there might have been a little tag between Lopez and Gaia there, but I was about to say actually it was kind of sad because we had Johnson catching again on Junt. That didn't quite convert. Now we will have our top 3 drivers line astern with a mere 7 laps to complete.
Indeed,
I am salivating. We've admittedly, it's perhaps been a little inconsistent with driver standards. We've had some fairly hefty crashes. We've lost a lot of drivers across this 500-mile race, but we may be in for an epic grandstand finish just yet. Jason Muscat between Johnson and the safety car, so he'll be let by. Ooh, Oh, goodness gracious. I'm shaking. This is going to be good.
It will be. This is an absolute classic end. I mean, when it comes in, I reckon you'll have about 5, maybe 4 laps to go. So this is going to be an absolute grandstand end to this one. What a time to have the safety car. Oh, actually, Greer's still trying. Credit to him, but yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere there. I think he'll have to call that one a day, unfortunately. After again, be able to survive this long, only 13 cars. Credit to him, but just again at that wrong time. Again, right at the end, just lost the rear end. Got in a little accident, and yeah, there he goes. And yep, there you go. He just retires it now. So he's now out of the race. We now have 12 cars left in this one. They're all behind the safety car. You've got to think probably at the end of this lap, maybe even there'll be green flag racing as the leaders are all catching up. But look at Sven de Vries. He's way back. He's got so many lap cars between him and Mino there, so he's going to have a task trying to catch up to those lead 2. And then of course David Junt there's a 1 lap down there. He's just in front of Sven actually. So unfortunate for Junt now. He's just going to be sort of a spectator now, just on his own little race, just try to survive at this point. But it'll be interesting to watch here this last bit here at the end. What is it? What is it? It is 6 laps to go. 6 laps to go, and I'd say it'll be green next time, so it should be about 4 laps of green flag racing here. What an end to this, what has been an absolutely incredible race so far, with pretty much everything, as we've already said. Crashes, amazing fights, green flag racing, strategy, just everything in this one.
So by the looks of it, we're going to have a lap behind safety car as we have Muscat rejoining, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. So of our leading 3, we have James Johnson right behind the safety car. Menno Klont is in second place. He has got about 4 lapped cars to pass to be able to get the back of Johnson. Then Sven de Vries has one David Junt right up behind him. And oh, goodness gracious me, there's all sorts of playing going on now. Who's going into... Yeah, that was an aborted pit stop and then some, leaving it very late not to pit in. I think he was expecting others to perhaps jump in and grab some fuel. But with 5 laps to go, why would you do it unless you're absolutely on the margins? But anyway, Johnson is in the pound seat, most definitely. If Menno can cut through and Johnson not get a particularly good restart, Menno might have a chance here, but it's going to be a tall order. We've got 3 cars to pass, and Sven de Vries has a couple as well. So this isn't going to be potentially as close as we'd like it, but there is still racing time to have a drama or two yet. Everyone is now up and right with the safety car. Let's see what we can do.
Indeed, and I think it'll be green flag probably next time round, so we'll have about 2 laps, won't we? So it'll be an absolute sprint to the finish, nearly a white flag sprint to the finish here as they come across the line. It should be about 2, actually 1. Yeah, it'll be 1, won't it? It'll be 1 lap of green flag racing to the end, so it'll literally be the sprint of sprints to the end of the race here. And as we said, I don't know if it'll be as close as we're hoping here, because there is about 2 or 3 lap cars between Klont and James Johnson, but hopefully it can be close. Let's hope, because it'd be nice if we can get a nice grandstand finish here to the end, because it's been a fabulous race so far. A lot of different points and different crashes and different battles, and it's just been an absolutely fascinating one to watch, that's for sure. As I'm assuming we'll probably get Dave's call here that it's green flag next time by. I can assume so, as Muscat now has caught up to the back of this pack here of 13.
Bell pits. He was the one who had a quick sort of, oh, I think I'm going to pit, I think I'm not going to pit. So evidently he's marginal on fuel, so he's going to fall right to the back here. And by the looks of it, we're going to turn onto lap 196. It's going to be a couple of laps blast.
Sorry, yeah, a couple of laps, yeah.
The safety car will be in this time round, so Bell, he's actually got out the pit, so he's refueled nice and quick, and he should be able to rejoin straight on the back of the queue. But the job that Klont's got now has been made easier by 1 car. He still has 2 to try and jump to get to Johnson, and of course catching is one thing, passing is a very different thing.
Indeed, and actually, yeah, it is 3 laps. Sorry to the end, I miscounted there, my mistake there. But yep, 3 lap sprint it'll be to the end of this one. An absolute cracker of a finish. So I do hope that we can get a nice battle here. Maybe the lap cars can realise what's going on. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Dave just mentioning to the back markers, be sensible here. Don't get in the way, because this is a fight for the win of the race here. We've gone this far, so he's just mentioning to them, just be sensible, guys. Don't do anything stupid. So it's good of Dave there to mention it, just to remind the guys how important this battle is here between Klont and James Johnson. And Sven de Vries, of course, is way back. He's actually about 10th or so in queue there, so he's got a long way to go to catch up. Here we go, come around turn 3, about to go green again. James Johnson has got control of the pack. He's got Mark Wicks behind him. And I think it's Timmy Toyker as well as the other lap car. Then it's Klont, the all-important second place there. He's the one to watch, as Dave should be pulling off here to the side any second now. As there he goes. Right now, there he goes. Pulls off to the side. Now James Johnson has control. We wait for Dave's call for green. We're ready to go here. 3 lap sprint to the end. This should be absolutely incredible. As we are...
Menno doing the wise thing. He's
Not
in
called.
free air.
There
Go,
we go.
go,
Green,
go.
green. Yeah, very late call there from Dave, but good job there as everyone's spreading out trying to get past everyone. Look at James Johnson, an incredible start. He's just flown away.
I think,
Caught Mark Wicks by complete surprise.
yeah, Clont, he was doing the wise thing as I would have done it. You know, try and get into some free air, wait for that green and stick your foot right down. But I think
Actually,
the back markers were watching themselves and he hasn't had a chance to get
Indeed.
by. In fact, Clont, he's gone a bit further back. De Vries,
Yes, Sven
he's
De Vries
been
is
able
through.
to make it through. He's up into P2. He's got a 1.2 second gap to Johnson, but Johnson absolutely flying. Almost got at least 4 or 5 car lengths, probably more than that, almost half the straight between turns 3 and 4. He exits turn 4 to complete lap 197. We'll be moving on a 198. If he can keep this up, this win is almost confirmed.
Indeed, it's 2.3 now, so he's just absolutely flown. An unbelievable start from Johnson. That was about the perfect start you can get, especially at this time of the race. He just absolutely bolted from the lap cars there. They were probably a bit napping there as they were just sort of sitting there wondering what was going on. It was a very late go there from him to go, so it was a bit later than what we've been used to, but very good job from James Johnson to get that gap. It's 2.3 now, as De Vries is still trying to get past Mark Wicks now, as there he goes past Wicks, and now he's got David Junt, our masterclass himself, now to pass before he gets to James Johnson. 2.3 now, we're about to go, is it 1 lap to go, I'm sure, isn't it? Yep, 1 lap. I think I'm correct, yeah.
As they cross here, they'll be going to 2 on 1, so this should be, yep, 1 to go.
1 lap, yep, 1 to go. So 1 more lap here, it's 2.5 now, so he's just improved even more. All Johnson's got to do, you'd think at this point, is just keep it out of the wall, keep it on the straight and narrow. And this is pretty much a done deal right now, as De Vries is now 2.6, yeah, it keeps growing, so not quite the grandstand we were hoping for, which is a shame, but De Vries did a great job to get up to second place there, get Mino on the start. Great stuff from Sven, he was way back and he just came straight through. As turn 3, here comes James Johnson through turn 3, an absolutely fantastic race, just kept out of the trouble, kept at the right place at the right time, and he looks like he's going to win here, the Indianapolis 500 for GPVWC. Fantastic stuff for James Johnson. Amazing race, he wheezed the wheel in celebration. Great stuff, James Johnson. He will win the Indianapolis 500 in the GPVWC. Sven De Vries will come second, and then it should be Menno Klomp there in third. A good 10 seconds back, but good job there for Menno Klomp there, and Sven De Vries to be on the lead lap. Great stuff to them.
Yeah, huge congratulations to James Johnson. He's just won the Spearhead Platoon GPVWC Indy 500, the very first one. A superb win. I can't recall a single mistake he's made, so a well-deserved race. Victory there. We have got, if you exclude Florian Engel, who retired, a mere 12 finishes. Huge attrition rate, but we have everyone forming up, I'm sure, quite nicely to come home. Franz Lopez, he wants to do a little bit of rallycross. Oh, goodness gracious me. Who was that?
Sam Jones.
Oh,
Sam
dear.
Jones. Just in,
This is not the race finish we wanted. Oh, dear. We were expecting donuts, not broken cars. But anyway, James Johnson, as he's done... Oh, Mike Bell wants a piece. Oh, dear. There may be words from race control after this, but anyway... James Johnson wins, and as they traditionally do at Indianapolis, a pint of milk will be waiting for him on Victory Road.
Indeed, great stuff. Very good job to James Johnson. As we said, just don't really recall him making any major mistakes. Great drive. A bit of real masterclass as well from David John. I mean, credit to him until that point where he had that crash. It was an absolutely fantastic race to him, but still great job to come home and actually finish. I mean, as we said, a massive attrition rate, so just to finish is an achievement really in itself. So 4th place to David John, outside of a top 3, so great race to him, 1 lap off the pace. And it's Mark Wicks, his 5th, great race to him to stay out of trouble in 4 laps off the pace in 5th, great stuff. And Fran Lopez, 7 laps off the pace in 6th place, and it's Florian Engel, he'll be 7th there, 9 laps off the pace, with Timo Toika also 9 laps down, he's in 8th, so great stuff to them. This boy Bryson, he's 9th, 13 laps off the pace. Jason Muscat, as I said, great stuff. He did come home and finish, managed to finish it. Last place, 40th on the grid, all the way to 10th at the end. So fantastic stuff to Jason Muscat there. He's 10th, 14 laps off the pace. And it's Mike Bell, does end up finishing. He'll classify as 12th because he was actually behind Greer, despite the fact that Greer retired with that accident at the end. 20 laps off the pace, then 13. 12 other guys who actually crossed the line is Sam Jones, 22 laps off the pace. Great stuff to be honest, everyone that finished.
So, pleased to say that we have our top 3 ready to be moved in for interviews, so we'll have a chat to them in just a moment. There you go, there's one of them. Well, let's kick it off. James Johnson, you've just won the Spearhead Platoon GPVWC Indy 500. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling great.
Talk us through that race.
Oh, man. At the start in P11 after Harley left. I was just trying to keep myself in good shape without getting into trouble, damaging the car. Mainly the first 100 laps, I was just trying to keep myself in a good place. And then got to the front after I think it was I don't even remember how many cautions there were anymore, but got to the front. And then we decided that we were going to pit a bit early instead of trying to run the whole stint, just to see if we can get the jump on Yun, who was generally much faster around here than me. And then we tried that, and it kind of come towards me. It was slowly getting him because he didn't change tires, and then it just slowly getting there, and then all of a sudden the accident happened in front of me. And then the safety car at the end there, I don't even know what to say.
Oh, it's amazing stuff, great stuff from really everyone. I thought to finish that one, but how was the tires there? Had they held up in the fuel as well? How was it all with the tires going away and the fuel going? How many times did you actually change tires throughout the race?
Change tires at every stop. That's the only way you could possibly get away with anything. You can't double stint tires at all on these cars, at all. It was just you had to do it at every stop. That's what we were doing. I don't know what Jürgen was trying to do, because those tires, as soon as they got really worn and there was not much left, they drop off massively. It's a massive drop off. So, yeah, I knew I had a good chance, and I knew I was going to catch him at some point. But yeah, those last 15 laps were a bit tense.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, James, irrespective, I was saying it during commentary. I cannot recall a single mistake made. That you made at all. So what I'll say again is this massive congratulations, sir. Great race, and go and enjoy yourself a pint of milk.
Oh yeah, I'm doing that.
Congratulations, James.
I'll take a picture of that. I'm doing that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We're now joined by another star of the race, David Yunt. David, just oh my goodness me, my heart was in my mouth when you lost your front wing just at the very dying minutes there. You had easily the quickest car out there on track. Talk us through the race today.
Starting fifth, I was a bit worried about maybe at the start, maybe somebody trying to go to the front and take some of us out, but it was okay. And then we already had the caution like lap 1, and I knew that it was race to the line, but I was surprised that so many crashed under basically yellow and run into the wall. I managed to pass, and even because nobody really gave an attempt at it, I went to take the lead before the line. That's where I stayed quite a bit of time because I think people would save fuel, which I did as well. But I just thought I would stay near the front because then people maybe, as they save fuel behind me, they not attack too much and run with me. And that worked well. And I've then got Tom because Mike crashed off, and there was nearly a yellow caution. Some people went off the gas, and Tom and me just floored it. And then it was said it was no caution. We just ran away like to 10 seconds before we got stopped again. Tom then made a mistake, in my opinion, that if you have like 10 laps of fuel left or less, you go directly to the pits, and he didn't. So I was a bit surprised he went on and then pitted as well. So I gained back the lead, and then ran with Timu and James, and it's a long battle. I've made one mistake at the pit stop at the caution where I'm not quite sure if I had the pit limit on because I wasn't. So I thought 118, I was suddenly over that, and I had to check and lost time and slowed down. Then coming to the pit stall, I parked, nothing happened. 3 seconds, and suddenly, okay, we're getting saved. So I thought like my pit was a bit tardy on that. That made me drop behind Mark, and at the restart I had front flying past, and so I lost more time. Then I had to repass him, and I know you don't have to give way, but I was like flying towards him. I wanted to the inside, he blocked, I got to the outside, and he slid into me, I guess, because I didn't think I drove into him, and he crashed into the wall. So I'm sorry about that one. I didn't want that to happen to him. And the rest after that was trying to get the second back on Sven and James. And it took me a very long time, and some mistakes, some people being in a way to give me slipstream. then I finally caught Sven first, and I don't know if he then had tire problems. Later on, I just had to pass because he was losing Menno and James again. And so I passed and was behind James and Menno again. And then I think it was exactly 30 laps to the end, they pitted us at the same time. They had 10 laps more fuel. I thought I'm gonna push full boost till I have to pit. And I actually guessed that Menno would lose James in the pit, so James was on his own and he lost time to me. When I pitted, basically, a very good stop. I made one mistake that probably cost me the race. I did only 52 liters, but the mistake was I didn't put on new tires. I thought, oh well, they're gonna make 56 laps by GitHub, but after about 10 more laps, I noticed that the rear right tire was sliding more and had a really hard time to get lines, and this made me slow down in the turns, which then enabled James to get closer. And the final mistake was when I caught up to Boyd, and it was at the worst possible moment, exactly out of the turn. If I had gone to the left, I would have spun out because the tire was that much down and JJ nearly was there. So slowing down was also just too late. I couldn't do anything, and I ran up him and lost the front wing. And yeah, that's it. I think my major mistake. I should have changed the tires at the pit stop because it was a 6 seconds pit stop. That was 3 seconds less. That made me stay out ahead of James, but I'm not sure if the tire change would have cost me more time. And looking back, even with the unlucky moment where the the caution came out about 1.5 laps after I crashed and had my pit stop. Well, I can't do much about it now. I'm really happy I led so many laps, which I didn't think it would be happen. And in the Masters Series, I finished now second, fourth. So my targeted consistency keeps me in the race for the championship, and I'm actually a bit gutted that I lost the battle for the win, but I'm quite happy to have finished in 4th place. So.
Well, a very verbose account. Thank you very much, David. It is a real shame that you just lost that wing there, because it was going to be a heck of a close finish. But yeah, absolutely, you got a lot to be proud of there. Great, string of points finishes. I'm sure you're going to have a very, very strong position in the championship overall, especially since some of the main competitors or main protagonists coming into the race didn't have much point scoring opportunity at all. So thank you very much for joining us. Huge congratulations again, and of course, huge commiserations for being so close to getting that win there. But thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks. Good night to you.
Thank you. Yes, Tom.
Yes, Sven de Vries. Hello there, good sir. Well done, by the way. Well done for that race. Very good job. Very impressed that you managed to stay on the lead lap and beat finished. I think anyone who finished that race has done a marvellous job with the chaos that erupted. So as we've been asking everyone, talk us through the race, and especially the chaos in the early laps. What was your view of that?
It was a very interesting race. Thanks for congratulations. Very pleased with the 2nd place and the top 3 Smile Power. I think we worked very well together as a team. So great team effort. From my point of view, the race itself, I had to start in 15th place. At a really good start. I think I got up to 7th place in turn 1, and then when the caution came out, I was 5th. So that went really well. Obviously, I think for all of those who finished, we had quite a bit of luck through chaos. I mean, I think eventually I saw Tom Vandervoort and somebody else crashing, and there's just no avoiding. You can't just hit the brake, steer away. It's just pray you make it. I got lucky a couple times. Unfortunately, got pushed into the wall once and flew into a wall once more after I completely lost the front wing myself on my own mistake. Fortunately, I had some suspension damage left and right, which caused me to be about half a second slower. So I knew eventually the win wasn't going to be possible, but just finished the race in 4th. Unfortunately for David and Menno, I guess luckily for me, they picked up some damage. So in the end, brought it home in P2.
Yeah, very impressive stuff it was. And actually, that was another thing that I was going to say. That crash with I think it was Vandervoort and I've forgotten who else it was. But that I know it was a crash that Van der Voort got involved in. That big one he got involved in right in front of you. Like that would have been scary to see. I watched it and I thought, how did you get away with it? Because from where I was sitting, it looked like you should have been right in the middle of that. So that was interesting to see you avoid that one. What was your view of that one?
Yeah, I think it was just luck. I mean, like I said, there's no avoiding these cars don't break. You can't just steer. I mean, you drive around with, at least I do, with 5 steering lock, and you just sit there. And I thought I was gonna be done. I literally thought I was gonna catch one on my helmet and be done. And miraculously, I got through. And I guess just luck.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, just over racing in general has a lot to do with luck. But it was that last restart. I mean, I noticed you were well at the back. I mean, you were probably like 10th or 11th in queue, and then suddenly you just jumped to Mino and just were right up there. That was a really good restart there. Like, how did you find where you were for the restarts after the caution? Did you think most of the time you were on the ball, or were you a bit slow, or what do you reckon?
I think I had a pretty good reaction speed in regards of the restarts. I think on most of them I gained a couple positions, especially the last one. I mean, we were on TeamSpeak, so I knew that Menno picked up some damage on the rear and said his car was damaged. Obviously none of us really knew how damaged it was because we were still under caution. So when there was a gap after the restart, I figured I'm gonna take my chances and grab that P2, and if he's too damaged to keep up, then I got it. Otherwise, we'll battle. But there was a gap, so I figured take it and see what happens after that.
Indeed. So very, very well done. Congratulations again, as I said earlier, and just to everyone in general who finished that race. It was a fantastic job. So thank you very much for joining us here in the booth there, Sven. Congratulations on your second place.
Yeah, thanks again, and major thanks to Lewis. It was all him. We owe it all to him.
That's glad to hear. Oh, thank you very much. And now we have in here our third place man, Mino Clant. Again, congratulations, Mino. It was a fantastic race to you as well. Again, just a finish, as I've said already. But again, as we've been asking all the drivers, how was your race, and especially that first lap? How was your view of all the chaos on that early stage of the race?
Well, the first lap were just keeping out of trouble. I think the first 150 laps were mostly doing that. So yeah, I lost some of the leaders quite early because I wanted to be don't have any damage, because I knew if I didn't hit damage, maybe on lap 180 on 190 I could have been up there like what I did.
Indeed, very true. So how did you find with the tyres? Did you finding like I think it was David or James said before with the tyres that you can't double stack? Were you finding the same thing? Were they pretty worn by the end of one stint?
No. After the fuel was almost run out, and I go for a stop, I did change tires, and just before that, before coming in, the tires felt just fine, and yeah, I didn't do 2 stops without changing tires, so I didn't have any problems with the tires in general. No.
Okay. Well,
How did you?
Sorry.
No, if I may, how did you find fuel management? So evidently, obviously, you've got the boost setting on the car.
Yeah.
Obviously, turning that up and down, obviously, as if you want to catch or maintain your fuel strategy. How tricky was it to balance, gaining on the car ahead to actually just finishing the race?
Yeah, I did fuel strategy. I boost 2 for a long time in the race, and when I got behind, I just switched to boost 1. But yeah, it helped me. But yeah, it was okay, and I did half of the race like a bit of fuel saving, and the other half of the race I just go flat out in the richest fuel setting there was.
Okay, well there you go. And I'll just ask one more question. I just remember this now. We were talking about during the broadcast with strategies and tactics with other drivers. Were there points there we noticed where you could have passed but you didn't pass? Was that you and the other drivers making a temporary alliance, as it were, and just sort of trying to draft along to catch up to someone or get away, or?
Well, I think I could have passed Johnson a few times, but I thought it was better to keep in there, just to don't have the pressure of to be the leading car. And I had the ambition to lead 1 lap, but I thought, it isn't worth it. Only the result counts, and I was aiming for a top 3 after 150 laps. I knew it was possible. even a win was possible. But yeah, to get the top 3, it will be that will be epic as well, because I was starting from P14 or 15, and then that makes you a bit of an outsider, and to then be in reach of the podium is great, but to get the podium, that's really sweet.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be. It was a fantastic drive, as I've already said. So, congratulations again, as I've already said to all the drivers. But again, especially on the podium, congratulations! Very impressive drive. So, good job, and we'll hope to see you on the track again soon. All right. So, I guess there you go. That is our Indianapolis 500 done and dusted. Unbelievable. Yeah, I'm still really
It's a lot.
committed.
It's a lot to take in. I mean, so
Yeah.
we wondered at the start before we went live. Obviously, with this just sheer number of cars, the speeds and the proximity of things like the walls and all the rest, crashes. It was a factor. We knew that there would be incidents every now and then, but we just didn't know how many. And obviously, we lost a lot of cars very early on, quite regrettably. But in my eye, there was, I think, honestly, the right driver won. Because as with all form of racing, you've got to be consistent. And that is what is important. And I think, James, he absolutely hooked the consistency up. Terribly bad luck to David Yunt for just having that, moment all on his own, just happened to catch a back marker at the wrong point. And, tyres or not, absolutely mastered the fuel management and everything else, but you can't take away from James. He was always in the right place. He was always going as quickly as he could get that car to go, and I'm sure he's enjoying this moment very much.
Indeed, I would agree completely. I'm sure he is getting that nice cup of milk right now. But yeah, I would pretty much second pretty much everything he said there with just the racing. It was just fantastic to see. Very close but very clean. Most of the time from what I saw, of course, there was those crashes, but I mean, this is to me, this is oval racing. That is going to happen, but it seemed as clean as it could be. But as we said, 40 cars on the track, there's bound to be crashes. It's just a shame that happens so early in the race, but it was always going to have it was always going to give, I felt, at some point. So, it's a shame it happened so early on, but it was definitely a lot of good racing. We had the crashes, we had the battles, we had we almost had the epic finish there with a safety car at the end, and drama with the leader going out there at the end. It was just pretty much everything you could ask for there was in that race. That was absolute blast. That was a fantastic race, I felt. So, any final thoughts, Chuggy, before we sign off?
Well, before we do sign off, I would like to get the final thoughts of the other person in the booth.
Yes.
Frankly, we wouldn't have been able to do anything with. Cameraman extraordinaire, Mr. Cameron Brewster. So, what did you make of that race?
I need sleep.
Oh.
No, as Tom said, that race had everything. I'm a bit disappointed, shall I say, about the way it ended with Junt losing his wing and obviously the restart. JJ getting way too good a restart for it to be fun. But credit to all of them. Massive congratulations to Smile for just dominating another endurance event. Seems to be their speciality. But no, very good fun to watch, and hope I did all right on cameras.
Oh, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. So, I mean, thank you very much to Cam for doing the camera stuff. My final thoughts. Oh, that's Indianapolis for you. You never know what you're gonna end up with as a race finish, and there's so many stories going on, and that race is going to stick in the memory. So pleasure to watch and call the action on it, and yeah, let's look forward to next Masters.
Yeah, it's gonna have quite an act to follow that up. I'll be honest, but yeah, it'll definitely stick in my mind. But yeah, some amazing drives from from JJ, and even Yunt up until that crash, and really everyone had finished did a fantastic job, and there was some great battles throughout that race. I'll definitely remember that one for a long time. But I do want to thank you there, Chuggy, for, as you said, joining me in the booth. It was an absolute blast. I'll say that much. Absolutely love that a lot. And thank you very much, Cam, as well, for doing the cams. And of course, Dave, for doing the race directing like he always does. And just everyone behind the scenes for making all this happen like they do. Every single event here in GPVWC. You've got to thank them. All the guys behind the scenes in management and admin who make all this happen. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute blast. So there you go. There is GPVWC's Indianapolis 500. I do hope you enjoyed it, hopefully more than I did. I don't know if that's possible because I did enjoy that, I think, to the maximum ability, but hopefully you enjoyed that as much as I did. and hopefully we'll see you next time. I think the next next event is, I believe, the Open Series and Formula Challenge in the career ladder, so I'm sure we'll broadcast that again as always, unless there's some kind of glitch. So hopefully we'll see you watching them as they go around. I believe it's Spa, so we'll see you there. From me and everybody else here, we'll see you next time.